Travelers on the Omnibus occasionally touches on mature subject matter with mature language. As such, audience discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Travelers on the Omnibus, a field trip through nerd and pop culture. My name is Ethan Skinner.
I'm Amberborn Ishtadorn.
I'm sorry, please go again.
I'm Jody.
Try again.
Jody.
I think he didn't know who you were then.
Yeah, he forgot.
Yeah.
I am Bray Davis playing the voice of God.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm just James McCarthy, man. Fuck.
Very riveting personas we all have today. Typically, we will go into what we've been doing, but I just kind of want to take a moment and talk about a few things real fast.
Cut your speaking.
Okay, there we go. We're done there. There's
Man, just stopped.
Cut your speaking.
The fuck?
I was right to be scared when he said he had something.
Okay,
there you go.
gotcha.
There you
Yeah.
go.
All right, gotcha. Jody, what have you been up to?
So I watched Mickey 17.
Mm-hmm.
That's
By
the
the great Bong Joon-ho.
Robert Pattinson movie.
Yes. It's basically a takeoff of the sub genre in sci-fi of cloning,
Mm-hmm.
but in this, they are quote unquote 3D printed.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a pretty cool idea and a pretty cool premise behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So, because Mickey, as a character, doesn't have any quote unquote skills,
Mm-hmm.
and he's trying to get off world because he owes a mobster money,
Yeah.
he signs up to be an expendable. Now, they only, because of the laws with 3D printing a person,
Mm-hmm.
it can only be off world. It can't be on Earth. And only per one expedition can you have one.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the only expendable on the ship. They're colonizing
Yeah.
planets. That's what they're doing. And the head guy over this operation is a former politician, played by the Hulk from the Marvel Universe, Mark Ruffalo.
Okay.
He's got a really interesting, strange character.
He likes some strange characters.
He definitely went hard on the weird with his character. His character's got kind of like a overbite lisp kind of talk to him, and he's really dumb. So his wife basically talks for him. So that's a thing. It's called Mickey 17 because that's the main Mickey that we follow
Mhm.
for the most part. Usually, what ends up happening is they'll send him on some sort of errand and he'll get killed and they'll 3D print him. They basically map his brain before and after every printing. That way he can retain all of his memory. But as you find out later on, some of them have different personality qualities because that's just how life finds a way, I guess, or whatever. Two issues I have with the movie is actually three, I think. A lot of the characters outside of Mickey and Mark Ruffalo's character have a somewhat inconsistency to their, the framework of how, you have to base what somebody does off of what they've done before when it comes to movie characters, especially when you're talking about there's so many different characters that you have to keep up with. And there's some inconsistencies with that. For example, Mickey has a love interest, and that gets weird. And so there's that, and there's the runtime. Ethan, could you look up the runtime for Mickey 17 for me?
2 hours, 17 minutes.
That's exactly how long Dune 1984 is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, Mickey 17 had 3 endings, much like in Lord of the Rings, which just there was a point where I don't typically do this when I'm watching a movie, but when it keeps going, I'm like, okay, I need to see how much longer I have. And then you're like, well, this happened, so how are they going to keep going for 45 more minutes?
Yeah.
Boy, do they. And so it also becomes a little bit of a message movie. There is like a message of like, politicians can be really dumb. That's an obvious one. It's also got some environmental issues as well.
Yeah.
Because they come across an alien species. And of course, the first thought is, oh, we should eradicate that. It's like, well, this isn't really our planet.
Yeah.
So there's that. It's got a lot of really good ideas. The problem is movies can't always make it on just ideas. And I think that it's worth watching. I do. I would give it like, it's not mediocre. It's just above mediocre for me.
Okay.
And it's only above mediocre for me because of the acting from Robert Pattinson. He pulls a stellar role because he has to play more than one character based off of the same character.
Yeah.
So
multiplicity.
Right. So like a little bit of a mini spoiler. They think Mickey 17 has died, so they print Mickey 18.
Oh yeah.
And so that's where you get from the trailer, that already, that's already a thing that has happened. So you get that. I think they spent way too much time on him going through different trials and all the different Mickeys before him, like going through all these different like medical trials to see if like, let's test out this new serum. Oh, it blew his head up or whatever.
Yeah.
And they focus way too much. There's way too much of that. And there's like too many subplots. As far as I care to elaborate on. So I didn't hate it, and I have to agree with like the Rotten Tomatoes score is like 78%, kind of on both sides, and I would say that's probably about where it needs to be. It's probably somewhere between like a B- to a C+ for me.
Yeah.
If I was going to like give it any sort of ranking, Ethan, you want to say something?
Rotten Tomatoes score is 76. Audience score is 73.
Right, I was close.
Huh.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie.
Yeah.
It just feels like it. Some movies you can watch and could be 2 hours and 17 minutes and don't feel like it's that long. This movie feels like it's that long after a certain point.
Yeah, I get you.
Certain scenes feel like they go on a little bit too long. And it's a shame. I think if they would have trimmed it down to probably like maybe 210. Or 2 hours, they probably would have gotten the same, beats and everything, and the pacing would have been a lot better, which was, I think, another problem with that movie. When you leave too much going on for a long period of time, especially if you're in a theater and you're just sitting there waiting for something to happen, it's not going to be exciting for your mainstream audience. It's not going to be exciting for, like, I'm okay with nothing but dialogue. That's fine. But you've got to have that dialogue's got to go somewhere. So, and the story has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And the plot has to be pushed by some character. And it didn't really feel like that was what the case was in that specific movie.
Yeah, I've heard like crazy reviews, like wildly different reviews.
There is, I think
it's
it's highly subjective.
Yeah,
for sure.
But I like really love Bong Joon-ho. I haven't watched. I think there's like one movie, like his first movie, I haven't watched.
Yeah, I've seen a few of his movies.
But I've watched, I think, everything of his.
For the audience, give them a couple of titles.
And
real quick.
Memories of Murder. He did Snowpiercer. The Host.
The Host. I think The Host is my favorite out of those that you've mentioned.
Parasite, of course, was the one that won the Academy Award that year.
Right.
Yeah, all of his movies I've either really loved, like from the jump when I watched them, or like I liked them a little, and then the more I thought about them, the more they grew on. And I didn't even necessarily have to like watch them again. It was just the more I thought about them, and the more I watched things where that we're talking about, and the more I was like, oh shit, I really like this movie.
Right.
So I definitely need to check this one out.
Yeah, you do. It's on Max at the moment.
I just need to fucking get Max again. I'm just procrastinating.
I'm just gonna get it for a short period of time and then get caught up on whatever's on there that I want to watch, and then
I've
cancel
got
it again.
so much shit on there that I would have to catch up on.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there. I want to see that that mystery TV show, the White Lotus show or whatever that's on there.
Yeah.
White Lotus, yeah.
I think I started watching the first season and it didn't like the first episode of the first season, and it didn't like grab me. But I need to go back because like the ensembles are always like really good,
Right.
Especially this newest season. There's tons and tons of people who I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm.
In that. So yeah, I've never heard bad things about it.
Right. So I watched that, and then I watched I would say a documentary, more of an essay on collectibles on YouTube. I can't remember the name of the channel or anything like that, but I mean, if you search it, it's recent, you'll probably come across it. And it's this woman doing these interviews at these toy conventions and everything like that. And mostly, with the exception of a few of the old vintage ones, she was talking to a lot of the people that collect and the people that make new collectibles, specifically people that are making like independent companies that are like usually about maybe less than 20 people making these really cool like articulate figures. One of the guys that was running the company was like he was like, back in the 90s, he really liked the look of the Todd McFarlane toys, but they were shit. Because they were mass produced, they would fall apart. If you took them out of the package, they would just break.
Yeah.
And so he liked all the intricate designs that McFarlane would do, but he didn't like anything. You couldn't take it out of the package and just display it. So, and he makes these like really cool looking, like, I would call them like super Marines, like G.I. Joe, but like really buffed up, but super articulate, and also with like different hands and faces and things like that or whatever. And those were like $30, but she was talking to some collectors, just people walking around or whatever, and that seems to be where a lot of people are going into collectibles, because the thing about collectibles, it's like with anything, with video games, with action figures, your audience gets aged out at some point.
Yeah.
And also trends get aged out. Like this one guy's like, I've gotten rid of all the Funko Pops. Like we don't carry Funko Pops anymore.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty much a dying collectible for the most part. Still, some of them are still really, really pricey, but like as a whole, there's just so much spam of it.
Yeah.
And then also the audience that would be collecting G.I. Joe and Transformers and things like that. Of course, Transformers is a little bit more relevant because the movies are still kind of in the framework of people in their 30s or whatever. People that went to see the first Michael Bay movie might have been 18. Now they have kids now, and now they want to share their love of Transformers and things like that. So you still have some toy lines that are still kind of fresh or whatever, but G.I. Joe is like dead.
Yeah.
Like G.I. Joe as a friend, so like, and has been for a while. Like the movies did not help it any as far as like collecting the toys. So a lot of people are starting to move on to other things. And the crazy thing is, some of these independent collectors, it's like the Kickstarter kind of thing where, you have FOMO, but you also have like a limited production run of something. So it's like, oh, if you want this like guy, they only make like 1,000 of this dude. He's serialized. It's almost like the statues, that you get like the anime figures.
There's a whole like premium action figure thing,
right?
Because I've started. I haven't like collected like super expensive stuff, but I've started like buying things here and there, like cheaper things.
Some of these
still like
right.
Like they can get to hundreds of dollars.
That's why I think there's an allure to collecting some of these items, because they're around the $25 to $40 mark,
and that's usually what I do.
And it's more enticing. It's like, oh, I could get the whole set, and it would cost the same amount if I got like a giant Venom or something. So I find that stuff fascinating, even if I'm not into actually collecting that specific thing. I am very interested in collectibles, and so and seeing new things is always exciting.
Yeah.
So I found it really, really cool, and if I could find the video, I'll shoot it off somewhere during the show or whatever. But that's all I've been up to.
Alrighty, Brady, over to you.
All right. So for some reason, I felt like watching a movie that I hadn't watched since I was a child. And that is The Rocketeer.
Oh man, I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid movie. takes place in like
Charmed, my dear, doubly charmed.
takes place in like 1938. This guy's a
Cliff Secord.
yes, Cliff Secord is a pilot who does like plane racing. And while he's testing out a new plane, he gets caught up in these people stole a jetpack. And he comes into these mobsters stole a jetpack, and he comes into possession of it with his mechanic played by Alan Arkin,
Peavy.
who is
You and I can talk a lot. I love this film. I actually got under the skin of an old friend of mine. I said, I fucking hate the Rocketeer. He went on a 50-minute rant. I was like, yeah, man, I love the movie. What the fuck, man? It was great. It was great. Because it started out so passionate. I'm like, how long can this burn on? And burn the rest of the hour. Shout out to my friend Mike McMullen.
I remember there are parts of it that I do remember very vividly, but it's not a movie that stuck with me, and it's not a movie that I watched a whole bunch. I think I watched it once or twice, and that was it. And for some reason, it just didn't like mesh with younger me. It also didn't help. Like, you had to be like something really special if it was like a non-animated movie that you wanted me to watch. And this just wasn't quite to that level. But it's a good movie to watch as an adult. Everybody's kind of being, that 1930s, a little bit hammy.
Jennifer Connelly plays Jenny.
Jennifer Connelly. Alan Arkin has like a southern accent.
It's great.
Which this takes place in California, I believe, that makes no fucking sense, but sure.
For the 30s, yeah, because he moved from the south to the west to
Rocketeer lore. I just know the movie.
You've tapped a vein, sir. That's the way it is.
Also, the atmosphere and aesthetic of it, it feels like they were aiming for like 30s Flash Gordon.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's the Art Decoist movie.
It's very Art Deco. Everything about it. You got the dude from Lost,
Terry O'Quinn
playing Howard Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, before he went absolutely nuts in real life, but
the shit he goes through in this probably drove him fucking crazy.
Yeah, probably he probably went crazy after this. And you've got what's his name? He was James Bond. Timothy Dalton. Timothy Dalton is the main bad guy. Right. He plays an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Plays Neville Sinclair.
It's got a lot to do with like
with those. What was it? With those lips would drink of me so deeply, and just. I think actually it wasn't acting. I think Timothy Dalton was like, I know she's supposed to be acting poorly, but god damn it.
Yeah, it has to do with because the main chick that Jennifer Connelly plays is an actress. She's an aspiring actress. She's really like doing bit parts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the main guy, he's not he like, you look at him and he's like, how is he not like a constant leading man? And then you look at like all the stuff he's been in things here and there. But mostly like in like
it's Billy Campbell.
Billy Campbell,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's in like side roles and stuff like that.
And
like, a lot of stuff like he was older when he did it. Like he for some reason like, and I think this movie like kind of bombed, if I'm not mistaken.
It did not do well.
I think they were expecting kids to like it and didn't, and there are adults I think our age that actually would have connected with it,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't marketed to that. I will say this. Billy Campbell.
It definitely wasn't.
It was also a live action Disney movie, and they don't have a at that time period.
No, those weren't a good track record.
Was it 87, right?
I want to say it's like 1990.
I think it was very early 90s.
But the reason why I say that is there were Super Nintendo games of this, and Super Nintendo comes out in 1992.
91.
91. Okay.
But
I thought it was early 90s.
Billy Campbell, two of my favorite things he did outside of this. One, he was one of the cops on Crime Story, which is like one of the best like crime procedurals NBC's ever done. Had Dennis Farina, and it takes place in Vegas, and it's really good. I highly recommend going back and see that series wherever it's available. The other thing is Billy Campbell was the lead in the much underrated sci-fi series Helix, which is a science fiction horror series. I think I vaguely remember the first season takes place in Antarctica. The second place takes place in the exact opposite location, I think in the jungle. So it's like he was very good in that as well. I like Billy Campbell. You're right. He has the look of a leading man, but he plays off way subtler, which you can't be as a leading man.
He was also in Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Dracula?
Stokers. My apologies. I misread it.
Cut your speaking.
Okay.
The Genie Bezrat.
Cut your speaking.
Ethan, look up other movies from '91. Also,
Just all the other movies, all of them.
like just see why it bombed, right?
Yeah.
Because another thing is that this movie was like not just aimed at kids. Because I remember the whole like
Was 91 Terminator 2 or was that 92?
that's 92.
92.
Okay.
But we've already had 2 decent Batman movies by this point.
Yeah.
And so
Batman 89.
So we're trying to basically do like a superhero retro thing. And
which was the retro aesthetic from
91 was The Silence of the Lambs.
okay,
yeah.
sure.
don't think there's much crossover in the Rocketeer and Silence
What
of the
else?
Lambs, but okay.
No, that's a good double feature.
That's not the only movie that came out in 91.
No,
Oh
not.
man, now
Yes,
I need that.
That's why it won Best Picture, because it was the only movie.
Yeah, that and the Rocketeer. And
it was
like,
that
sorry,
and the Rocketeer.
While he's looking that up before I do my Google foo, the name of the channel is Toy Addicts, but it's ATTICS.
Oh, okay.
And the name of the video is Toy Collectors Investing in This Instead of Vintage Toys. So,
But yeah, I wanted to rewatch it because I remember, like I said, there were parts of the movie pretty much whenever he was the Rocketeer that really stuck with me. And I think that's the big thing as a child is like, you want like it to be 85% Rocketeer. You want him to just be Rocketeering all over the place. And he just doesn't. Like, he's the Rocketeer maybe 10 minutes of the movie, and it's a 2-hour movie. So I think that's why as a child it didn't really grab me.
and also like adult movies that came out in 91 were Cape Fear.
Ethan
has the list.
Ethan was sitting here with his finger ready
He's been
to
taking
get
like
the list.
forever, man.
I didn't want to cut him off.
He's been
Go
waiting
ahead.
for me
Go
to
ahead.
There was so much bite behind that. Well, I didn't want to cut him off.
Terminator 2 was 91.
Oh, shit.
91.
Suck it,
damn.
assholes.
Point Break, Hook.
Now, Hook,
there was a competition with Hook because Hook also bombed like
Yeah.
a motherfucker.
though I will say, Hook also meant for kids.
Yes.
You know, man,
Now Hook was a movie I watched like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
That was a live action movie where I was like, yes, give me more of this shit.
The Adams Family.
Oh, okay.
came in
There's
91.
there's the
Jesus
big one.
Christ,
There's
yeah.
the big one because I was like, Point Break did not take away from
Yeah.
the Rocketeer.
My Girl came out.
Yeah, I
91.
remember watching My Girl a
he
lot.
can't see without his glass. Bitch, he can't see because he's
My
dead.
Girl fucking fucked me up as a child.
So because of Jay and mentioning the Terminator 2, I have to mention this. The Rocketeer died probably because it came out 2 weeks after Terminator 2.
Oh shit, that's bad.
I'm gonna tell you something, folks. 2 weeks after it premiered, Terminator 2 was still in the theaters.
Yeah,
Yes.
for a while.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's probably the main reason why
probably.
it died.
It's like no.
No,
I'm not taking you to see the fucking Rocketeer. We're seeing Terminator 2 for the 18th time.
Would it have made the Rocketeer better if, like, 2/3 of the way through the movie, they killed Cliff Secord with thousands of bees? Would it have made it
My
better?
Girl.
He doesn't wear glasses in this one, in
Okay.
that one, so it's not.
He
as
can't
sad.
fly without his helmet.
Hey, he can in this movie.
Also 91. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Huh.
That's the
Man.
second best of the Bill and Ted movies.
Man, it also hurts that like they really sequel bait hard at the end. Because the mechanic guy he has the plans and he's like talking about how to improve it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, yeah, this was not getting a sequel.
No, it wasn't.
I like
yeah.
how Google lets us know that 964 Pinocchio is one of the most popular movies of
Yeah,
1990.
that popped up for me. That's why I didn't want to say
Sure.
anything.
Was that like to capture off the 976 evil craze?
I guess.
The fuck?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's the Rocketeer. If that is something that you remember from your childhood that you know, it might be. I think it's better as an adult for like movies and adults and teenagers. I don't think like a young child. I just don't think there's enough of the Rocketeer, and I think as a child that was the thing where I was like, oh man, this movie is not that great because I want the motherfucker in the helmet, and he doesn't fly around, do shit that much. I need, like, I think if there would have been a Rocketeer 2, it would have been like 90% Rocketeer.
He pretends to be a waiter.
And that would have,
that was amazing.
That's funny as an adult. That is boring as shit as a child.
Yeah, it is.
I want to see a motherfucker. The whole thing was like, this is a motherfucker who can fly in the 1938 without a plane and in a jetpack. It was a jet. You told me there's a jetpack in here, and I don't see enough of a dude flying around in a jetpack. And he sucks as flying most of the time. Like, he's not good at flying it.
Is it like the Iron Man scenario? It was like you don't want to watch Tony Stark. You just want to see Iron Man in the suits.
I can imagine
because I like watching Tony Stark.
But like that one also, he is also like way more. Tony Stark is way more charismatic than Cliff in this.
City
movie.
Slickers came out the same week.
Damn.
So they had City Slickers and Terminator 2.
Ooh, yeah, they had no chance.
Yeah.
They had no fucking chance.
That's like UHF wedged in between Batman Returns and the third Indiana Jones movie.
Jesus.
Oh god, it's like when Oblivion remaster dropped like 2 weeks before Expedition 33, and it just killed all the momentum.
God, your age. Like that's the only person.
This is the only thing I can compare this to.
I know. I understand. I'm just pointing out the pointing out.
Yes.
I'm just the way it is. I just want to give a quick shout out to Paul Sorvino, who played the mob boss in that movie, because he has my favorite line.
Yeah.
He has my favorite line, which says, "I may be a 2-bit criminal, but I ain't no Nazi." Like, yeah, I just fucking love that line.
You know,
great. And the other guy, the short bald guy, who's in if there's a movie that takes place in the fucking 1930s, he is in it, and he is a Weasley little motherfucker.
Right.
I cannot remember his name, but like he's in fucking Miller's Crossing. Like any movie that takes place in that time period that needs like a sniveling mobster or a sniveling like creepy guy, he's there. He's there.
You know what movie wanted to be the Rocketeer but wasn't?
Oh, that's sad, because the Rocketeer wasn't the Rocketeer.
Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they definitely want to.
They're trying to cap in on that 30s aesthetic, and it did not work out.
Well, it's maybe the 30s aesthetic, but it was also the all digital production, like that.
Also
Sin
true.
City. There's a bunch of ones that
Mm-hmm.
are not.
What's the guy's name?
John Polito.
John Polito. I never can remember his name, but he's great. He's a great character actor.
I love the last shootout at Griffith Observatory where the FBI and the mafia are on one side and it's the Nazis on the other one. That's great. I love that.
There's like one point where like they're shooting Tommy guns,
and they look at each other.
and they go,
that's fucking great.
The Zeppelin's on fire.
It's a good there's a fucking Zeppelin, like, and there's a Frankenstein in it too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's 30s as fuck.
Which comes out, what the fuck. But yeah, it's a solid movie. It's not like the best movie ever, but it's a good little turn your brain off adventure movie, I think. As an adult or as an older kid, I think you get a lot from it.
Yeah, it's got that kind of Indiana Jones vibe to it a little bit, with the action adventure side of it, at least.
It's I think it does try and be Indiana Jones, I think. But it tries to be Indiana Jones with kind of a steampunk aesthetic.
Right, very steampunk.
And the problem is that, like, the main character is not as charismatic as like, Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Even as a child, I was like, holy shit.
Billy Campbell is not as charismatic as Harrison Ford.
Yes,
let's
true.
say it.
But like, there's like 10 people in the world who are as charismatic as Harrison Ford.
Casting will kill a movie.
He's like 80 and he's still like super charismatic.
I compare this movie to The Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
in the exact same way. It's like it's trying to capture that. In the same way as not just The Shadow, but also The Phantom.
Yes,
all three of those movies, kind of like they want to capture that time.
Not The Saint though. That movie sucked. All right, sorry. Continue.
Well,
The Shadow and The Phantom are not good movies either.
Yeah.
I love The Shadow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it's fucking over the top.
It's fucking nuts. And I was I was a little bit older when it came out, so it like hit me at a better time. Mm-hmm. I wasn't that much older, but because it was still in the 90s.
Could you imagine David Lynch's The Shadow?
Oh man, that would have been great.
Yeah.
Just with this same
only
aesthetic,
if he would have gotten Final Cut.
But it got like but the aesthetic of that one's great. The Phantom I did not like.
Yeah.
The Phantom was boring as shit.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, this I think holds up pretty well. So I would definitely say
Rocketeer holds up.
And I also started a book because there is this there's like a horror and true crime book club that the Orange Grove Library does, and I decided that I was going to try. They're doing the horror book this time, and I decided to read it. It's called Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. I'm only a little ways into it, but it's interesting so far. It's basically about these like college age people who make this like really low budget horror movie, literally called Horror Movie, and it kind of goes back and forth in time to like they're shooting it and they're going through, and it's literally like they'll go through the like it'll cut it, like they'll be doing the narrator will be he was a character in the movie, and he'll be talking about it, and then it'll just be like the script, and you'll start reading the script as it goes down, and then but it like flashes back in different times to like, okay, he's getting like they're recruiting him for the movie, and it's a person that he knew from like college who's doing it, and but then it starts out like far in the future where people were like it's like this cult thing, and he talks about how people are constantly trying, like producers are constantly like getting with him wanting to remake Horror Movie, and something weird happened in this, and I think it's all about like finding that out. So far it's very interesting. It's a very quick. It's like so far I just started reading it today, and I think I'm like 30 pages into it, so it reads quick.
Nice.
And it's interesting. The guy is kind of a loser, at least in the time where he's making the movie. In fact, the director who recruits him always called him weird guy. So if that tells you anything, but it is interesting so far. I'm hoping that it stays good. And yeah, it's definitely it's interesting so far. If anybody's interested in it, the librarian who runs it, she sent me the PDF, so I can just send y'all the PDF for it. Because if I'm doing a book club, I'm not paying for any books. At a library, yes.
At a library, because it's a lending library.
Which I'm gonna try, and I finally got a library card, so I'm gonna try and like actually like get some books from the library instead of like buying them, because I'm running out of room and there's a bunch of shit that I want to read. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing so far.
Nice. Jay, over to you.
I have completed Dragon Quest 3 2D 3D remastered. It is an exceptional game. It gets a strong recommendation from me. If you don't like JRPGs, this is the JRPGist. So many of the tropes of JRPGs, which obviously started well before this, the ones that are just locked in here. But I think it's a very well put together production. There is an after game, but I have too many games to finish after that. I know a lot of it involves monster wrangling and fighting in the monster arenas, and also like the super big stuff that happens. Spoilers, you find out that the place you start out with is effectively heaven for the place you end up in. And you have to fall through the hole in heaven to get to the dark world to defeat the dread Zoma. Yes, that's again, the main bad guy isn't the main bad guy. Like so many things. But
damn.
The story is very well put together, in my opinion. I think there were a few spots where it kind of gets open worldish in the second half, which is really the last third, if you want to talk about like content wise. In the fact that you can go and like you can collect a whole bunch of things, but it's one of those things where you need to follow along with what you've had to been doing, so that you know where to go and what to do and when you get there. But I think overall, it was a very strong performance. I like the fact that we're getting 3 and then 1 and then 2, because timeline-wise, that's what the timeline is. 3 was the prequel to 1 and 2, and so the story is going to continue out to the next 2, which are going to be on the same card, which I think drops in October. I had seen it originally December 31st, which was that's a weird way to end a year is with like a big release like that, but they moved it up, I believe, to October, so I'm happy about that. I've purchased Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. That should be coming in next week. I have pre-ordered Final Fantasy Tactics for the Switch 1.
Yeah, I need to do
so that one's so I need to kind of, I'm attacking my library, and I played Live Alive. I stopped with 2 chapters left to go, and the chapter I stopped on was Twilight of Edo. That was a very bad decision upon my part because that is the most involved chapter, particularly if you're going for a pacifist run.
Gotcha.
I have since restarted it, and with some help of some guides to remind me where the fuck I am, I was able to. I was able to get, and I was able to finish it. The Ode in that section is Ode Iu, which is effectively a playoff of Oda Nobunaga.
Gotcha.
And he turns into a frog possessed by snakes at the end.
Hell yeah.
And you have to you have to murder the shit out of him, but you do. The guy who plays Sakamoto sounded like Taron Egerton, and that confused the shit out of me. And I was like, is this Taron Egerton? And it's not Taron Egerton. But it threw me right the fuck off. I have 1 chapter left. It is the Far Future chapter, and I believe it is the survival horror chapter. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I know after that there's a medieval and then a cool final run.
Shin Megami Tensei 5 is $20 now on Amazon.
I'm going to create a lot of enemies right now. I hate Atlas RPGs almost to the title. I hate Shin Megami. I hate Persona. To me, it's more style over substance. I like Catherine. I like Catherine because it's
not an RPG.
It's a
you're
puzzle.
playing a role, but
Yeah.
it's a puzzle game.
Right. It's a puzzle game.
And the role playing is done almost like a visual novel.
Yeah.
So it's different, and I like that. I also like Trauma Center Under the Knife. That was a really good. That was a really good that was a really good DS game, and that was a really good Wii game, and I really liked it.
The first it turns out, so with I think they were called the Devil Summoner games, the Rido versus whatever. I thought that they were going to remaster. Everybody thought that they were going to remaster and put 2 on one, like release them together, but it's one at a time. But the first one comes out actually this Thursday, I think tomorrow.
Right.
As of this recording, it will be out by the time that this comes out.
Nice.
It's only like $50. I definitely want to get those because those are very hard games to find.
I think I have 2 from the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, those are games that I kick myself for not buying when they were like $20 at GameStop. But they're like an action RPG type deal,
right? Where
you summon like demons to fight with you in like a real time fighting thing. Kind of like it's Kingdom Hearts esque where the enemies appear and you do. Like
I don't mean it to mean, but also there's a Pokemon aspect to it because you're capturing.
Yeah, you're also there is like a collecting and raising and raising the levels of the demons.
That's kind of like how at least Xenoblade 2 does it because you collect blades, which are basically just anime characters, and then they fight for you.
Yeah,
or they fight alongside you rather.
So that's cool because like I said, that's a very difficult game to find. So I'm glad that that's coming out.
Yeah, but the plan after Live Alive is to dive headlong into Suikoden 1 and 2.
And
just continue on that one. When you mentioned that you were collecting JRPGs, I think we're all kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
like just the way it is on that one. Unless it's a FRPG, which is French RPG.
I'm specifically trying to pick up things that are like on sale.
Yeah.
I mean, getting like Unicorn Strategy and the last Tactics Ogre game for like $30 is like a steal.
Yeah, that's super.
So,
I definitely try and find those, but like when these remasters happen, I try and catch those when I can.
Switch is the only thing that's really the Switch One that's a physical media matters. Yeah. So
Then after that, there's one other thing I want to talk about, but we're going to do that collectively. Ethan, take your show back.
You talked about collecting JRPGs. Jay talked about it. Jody talked about getting things on sale. I did both. They're having a sale on Final Fantasy games on PlayStation right now, and I picked up Final Fantasy 10 and 10-2.
Oh, okay.
For about $10.
Oh, nice.
I tried playing both Final Fantasy 7 original and the remake, and nothing about it would like caught my attention for it. And like I played it for like 10 hours, and like by that point it didn't really catch my enthusiasm to continue playing it.
The original one or the remake?
Both.
Okay.
Both. And so
10 hours in both of them?
10 hours in both.
Okay.
And I was just like scrolling through Facebook, and I saw there was a reel that said like people that want to get into Final Fantasy, but not really know what it's about. They recommended either playing 9 or 10, and then once you play those, play the other one respectively, and then go out.
That's because both 9 and 10 don't fuck around at the beginning of the story. They put you into it immediately and you know what's going on. 7 takes a while for the story to slowly develop.
Yeah, for you to, because it starts, you're doing one thing, and then by the end, you're doing a totally different thing.
9 felt like it dragged from the first moment I played that thing.
Well, the thing about 9 is it starts out and the girl gets kidnapped. You know what's going on. You've got to save the girl. Like the princess gets kidnapped and you know what's going on. 7, you're like, I'm in Midgar. I'm dressing up. I don't know what's happening here.
You have to blow up the reactor.
It takes a while. Once you get out of Midgar, soon after that, the game starts to feel, and then there's still like, I love 7 to death, but there are lulls in the story until you get to about the halfway point. Yeah. Because there's a lot of slow burn with that story, especially if you're just grinding also on top of that.
And that's the thing, like to me, 7 is one of my least of like the actual like good ones. It's one of my least favorites.
I like 6 over 7.
I find it kind of overrated. Which makes a lot of people mad, but whatever.
I think 7's selling point was it's the first JRPG or the first Final Fantasy JRPG with cinematics, with FMV
it was the first
sequences
one on like a fully 3D. It was the first one.
So much with such a long play time. Yeah. Even if you don't grind, the game still takes 40-45 hours if you don't grind out and find everything.
You beat the game and it has like 2 super bosses, the weapons, and then
there's
all this other
too.
Stuff to invest time
there's
in, like
plenty.
the chocobo racing.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff
chocobo
to do
breeding.
in it. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do in it for sure.
So, I picked it up yesterday. Likely going to start playing it tomorrow, and I will give updates on that.
Yeah.
And then me and Bianca, we started a new show while we're waiting on more seasons to drop on the current shows that we're watching. I'm currently waiting for Dan to Dan.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, same.
We started watching Rising of the Shield Hero.
Oh yeah.
I watched like the first episode.
I've heard good things about it.
Buddy of good friend of ours, Nick Krebs.
Yeah.
He loves the show.
He does love the show.
I remember us having a conversation about it like years ago.
Yeah.
And I saw it on Netflix. I'm like, let me actually give it a try. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. It has its like funny moments, but then it also has its like more serious, more toned down moments.
The main character initially gets framed for something.
Yes.
And
he's like outcasted.
It makes for a very interesting story for anime, especially.
Yeah.
Just like Freyrin, it goes outside the box of what you normally get.
So we're enjoying it.
Yeah.
We're only about 7 episodes in, and we're liking it so far.
Nice.
So yeah. And then the last thing, which is going to be a group effort, is we're about to wrap up the intro.
We basically wrapped up one adventure of the Land of Eem.
Yes, the introduction adventure for Land of Eem
to the Mucklins.
Yeah.
I'll turn it over to Brady to talk about it.
I think this is one of the most fun times I've had running a game, and I think it's just because like the silly nature of the game lends to being outrageous and kind of being able to think outside the box and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a they were tasked with finding Chara the chicken-footed witch, and they did, and they took care of things. Not ever actually getting into a combat. Like they never actually nobody swung a weapon at anything, which is
so many people were anticipating,
which is fun.
I feel if you do that in this setting for some reason, I think you're insulting the setting. I think this is
combat is a part of.
I know that it's a part of it, but it's system wise. You have parlay, you have improvise, you have run. Which are the things that you have before you have to start swinging any kind of weapons. Yeah, I like the notion that it's built into, hey, work shit out before you have to beat the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And I just really loved that. I love the fact that improvisation is part of it. So yeah.
It matches with the silly nature of how the game is, like with batshit insane things that people could use for improvising. Like threatening toads with a stick of dynamite.
Well, the thing is, it also allows you, and like another thing I really like about it is that if this is your first game, it teaches you good habits going forward if you play anything else.
And this was made to be kind of a more introductory, even though I think it's crunchy enough.
It is crunchy enough
that people that have played a lot of games can also really enjoy this.
Because
I go, and I apologize for it. I go further and say this is inspiring imagination before it's inspiring. Hey, I need to hit this specific number to get this specific.
The problem with like specifically D&D and games modeled after D&D or Palladium, is just that. It's like you're either crunching numbers or you're like, I can't get the information out of the king that I really want to, so I'm gonna hit him with a stick.
Yeah.
And it just devolves into that.
Well, it's the idea of the murder hobo.
Yeah.
Like that's
Well,
That's what oftentimes a D&D campaign will devolve into.
I need the quickest answer, so I'm going to use the quickest result that I could, or try to attempt to get the quickest result I can get by hitting something with the stick.
Yeah.
Sometimes the stick can be a bolt of lightning. It's still a stick, in my personal opinion. I love this. The setting is very fleshed out. It also enables you as a group of players and friends to be able to, actually role play into something that you wouldn't get to do otherwise. Because typically, there's always like if you're playing D&D, the setting is quote unquote almost always like a little bit more serious tone.
Yeah,
and you always have somebody trying to buck that by if you have like at least five or six players, especially, you're gonna have the one like guy that's like, I want to play a lizard bard because he wants to have fun.
Yeah,
he wants to. It allows you to have the fun with no restraint on being like criticized for doing so.
Yeah, I mean, one of our characters is a mushroom bard that plays the bongos.
Yeah,
and his best friend is a giant bipedal whale in overalls.
Yeah.
It also channels your goofiness because people like bullshitting when they're playing role playing games anyway, and it kind of channels that bullshittery into actual gameplay.
And I think with the two, because it basically took us two sessions to complete this, and like I said, it's mostly completed. There's just some like sweeping up of things to do. But we got basically like the two sides with the two sessions. You got the two sides of the game, which is there is travel and exploration, which we did in the first part mostly, and then there is the actual like
conflict,
dungeon diving and dealing with conflict. Because they don't call it combat, they call it conflict. Because like Jay said, there's 4 parts to it, and it's just everybody at the beginning of a round chooses, okay, I'm gonna try and talk to the person, or I'm gonna try and come up with some kind of way out of this that doesn't include talking to them or hitting them, or I'm just gonna run away. And then finally, if somebody says, hey, I'm gonna do combat, and all these other things fail, then you start swinging swords and firing arrows and shit like that. And there's a robust system for that too. So yeah, I really do love this system. I love the world. It's been one of the most interesting books lately for me to read, and I've been like delving into a lot of like very interesting RPGs. So yeah, I'm really, this is I think everybody had fun with it.
Yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
It's the most interesting of the newer games like that I've played, for sure. Because the setting stands out, the mechanics build into the actual part of the game that you like the role playing nature.
Yeah.
When you're parlaying, you use role play, and it's not necessarily role play with dice every time either.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely leans towards like if you can come up with a clever enough way, like you don't even necessarily have to like do a roll or anything like that. If you're committed to the role playing and you do a good enough job with it, like why should I make you roll for it? Like
it's a system that isn't entirely restrained by actual in-game mechanics.
It's narrative forward.
If you can come up with a solution, that makes logical sense, or is just so silly it just might work. Go with it.
Story takes precedent over hitting stuff with sticks.
I also love the way that it does XP, because there's 2 different types of XP. There is your questing XP, which is like the group, as a group, everybody gets it and it's like, hey, did you go to a new place? Did you meet somebody new? Did you have a solid encounter with an NPC? Did you find some magical item, or did you travel like it just because it's based off of like a hex crawl, but it's not like as quite as I think it's basically it's a hex crawl is basically what the world is set up as. Like, did you travel 10 or more hexes?
Right.
Like that's a thing. And everybody gets those, but then there's also your personal things. Hey, all these things that you wrote down when you made your character, did you live towards your ideals? Did you play off of your relationship with another character? Did you everybody has a personal quest. Everybody has a personal thing that they're trying to find or do. Did you work towards that? And that's where you get it individually. So in certain parts of it, everybody levels up at the same way, but then at certain parts, people don't. So yeah, I think it's a very interesting system, and I'm looking forward to continue to running it. I have no idea after we do this. I have one more like set adventure. I have no idea where we're going to go from this, but we'll continue to do it.
That's the fun part.
I'm enjoying what we're doing.
Yeah, it's been good.
I just gotta figure out like what breadcrumbs I'm gonna lead y'all on from the area where we're at, because I really love it's called a sandbox setting is the larger of the 3 books that you get with the big set, and it's really just like a lot of like there's not even really like in this I had like basically like a map, and it's like, okay, you go to this room and it's this and this. Most of the book isn't that. It's just like, hey, here's the people that you can meet in this, and you come to a town, here's the things that you can meet, people that you can meet. Here's like rumors that you can lead for breadcrumbs. Here is the actual like quests that you can end up doing, and they separate them into like, are they just kind of fun and silly? Are they more like an Indiana Jones type thing where you're just kind of going off on a daring adventure, or are they something kind of deep and spooky, more like the Dark Crystal? So they there's like 3 tiers of them, and they're not necessarily like harder or easier, but it's just like the tone of them is basically.
And I like that a lot too, because like again, like if you're playing like D&D, right, or a similar game system, or at least our typical like fantasy setting, okay, you guys get to the town. You've been traveling like for 2 days to get to this random town. It's a mid-level town. What do you do? That's not my job to find out what you need to do as a dungeon master in this specific situation.
Yeah.
What do you do? And like one person will go, I'm going to go to the inn, and the other person will go, I want to go talk to the mayor for whatever reason. And then you have like basically chaos.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough like breadcrumbs, there's not enough like things like rumors or whatever, unless you've been running games for long enough to set those things up. Like people, especially people that normally don't do a lot of homebrewing on campaigns and stuff like that, or unless you're running a module, which kind of but that's handhold / railroading.
Yeah.
So it's a very balanced line to be able to like give somebody enough to work off of, but actually like not be completely in the unknown on what to do. So I enjoy the game. The game is amazing as a whole, and you running it also. I might add as well.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you've done very well, bro.
I will be honest. Like there have been some times where I've run games in the past, and kind of recently where I felt like I just wasn't doing as well as I could, but I felt like I did pretty well. And not to toot my own horn, but I did feel better than I have in the past lately. Of this.
Me and Bianca are certainly enjoying it.
It goes up and down when you're running games, man.
Yeah.
Like and it's been fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's I would say definitely like it's on, and I sing this website's praises a lot. That this is put out by Exalted Funeral. I cannot highly recommend, if you are interested in RPGs, like check them out. I cannot recommend them highly enough. They are an excellent website. They just have the coolest shit. Like I get the emails and I'll be like, oh man, this is cool. They've actually got they just, as of recording, there's a new campaign setting that's on Kickstarter, which is the Underlands, which is kind of like under all the stuff that they're in the Mucklands. And really, I think it's even wider than that. But there's that, and then they also have a really cool thing, which I'm not gonna get because I don't have any use for it. But it's a Dungeon Adventurers. Like it's basically like if you are a parent or a some kind of like teacher or facilitator or something like that. It gives you, it like simplifies the rules, and it gives you like there's even like special dice to where they don't have to do numbers. They just roll, and like if you get the banana peel, that's a straight up fail. I can't remember what the other symbols are on the dice or whatever, but it's for people wanting to get younger children, like preteen children into this, and even younger. Like I think it can possibly do young as 6. They said,
right,
with taking a couple of other things out of it, but it gives you like adventures. It gives you like cards for the monsters. It gives you pre-made like cards for their character sheet for them to keep up with. And I think that's a really cool thing, because it's like, it can be hard to get younger people into RPGs, because even like something that is relatively simple to us, like D&D, can still be like
overwhelming,
very overwhelming to a new. I've taught people who this is their first D&D is their first RPG. They've never played D&D fifth, and it's 5th edition, which is already like a pretty simple, decently simple version, and they're just like playing through the first session, and they're just like, what? Even with that, so to have like a way to get younger kids into that is really cool. If I was like in a position where I would be around children or anything like that, I would definitely love that. Back when I worked in the dorms at Job Corps, there was a short time where we were where I was actually had like a D&D short campaign with some of the kids there, and they'd just come into the office, and they put the kibosh on that because they were like, oh, you're not paying attention, but whatever. But yeah, that's the Land of Eem. If any of this sounds interesting to you, I would definitely say check it out. The books are great. Even if I never ran this, the books are great.
How do you spell Eem?
EEM.
Yeah, Land of Eem.
Echo Mike. Yeah, check that out. Highly recommend it. And the cool thing about this is like I could run some shit in like one of the areas in the Mucklands, and like Jay has the books. If Jay wanted to just be like, okay, we're gonna start over in this other part of the Mucklands. I flipped through some shit, but I don't remember anything that's in that other part.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
The Mucklands, just the campaign is the biggest book in the of all the deluxe edition stuff.
Yeah,
that includes the core book. You've got a lot of material in there.
Yeah,
like
tons and
at
tons.
150, which is what I paid for the deluxe. I think you did. I think you paid was there a discount with yours?
You got a little bit of a discount too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because it was the first time
there was like a sale.
Yeah, well,
I got 20%. I think you got 10%.
I got 10 because it was my first time there, and said, "Hey, take 10% off your first order." But yeah, for 150, you get the core book, a complete book of a bestiary for volume 1, and so it like gives you ideas for monsters which you don't have to think up. You have the complete core setting. You have the map for it, which is not a paper map. It's on a board game map. You have really solid meeples to kind of track where everybody is. There's so much about it that is high. I respect a high quality production, even when I may not necessarily respect the product itself. Like my old Enemy Steamforge games, for all their games are being bad, their productions are always high quality. This is high quality production and high quality setting and a high quality system. I think across the board they knocked it out of the park. Other things that you might like from Exalted Funeral, they've also done Mouse Ritter.
Mouse Ritter's great.
And they've also done the Monty Python. They've done the Monty Python RPG.
There is soon to be coming. I can't remember if it's on Backer Kit or Kickstarter. I think it's on Backer Kit. There's going to be a new campaign box for Mouse Ritter coming out that I definitely want to get, because that campaign box for Mouse Ritter is one of the best things that I have ever, like RPG wise, that I have ever gotten. It's so great, and I'm looking forward to getting another one of those. Even though we did things fell apart with that one, and I think eventually we will get back to that. But that box is like so interesting that I definitely want to get another one of those. So I'm definitely gonna follow that. But yeah, Mouse Ritter, Liminal Horror. So there's some really weird shit on there.
Yeah. And disparate shit too. Like it's not just like, oh, we do fantasy games and they're all kind of the same fucking theme. No, they go all over the place.
Oh, I also got Troika there, which is one of the weirdest books that I've ever read. I need to bring it up here one day so everybody can look at it because there's some weird shit in that one. Yeah, there's just tons and tons of like.
I want them to do the House of Leaves RPG.
What is it? There's one. It's like something. Oh, man, it's like Ooze Nun. Is that what it's called?
Stop drilling. You've hit oil. We're done.
I don't think I'm too off of that. If I am off of it,
I don't think that's oil.
I think it's Ooze Nun, and it's got this really like over the top art style, which is fun. But yeah, definitely check them out and check out Land of Eem if any of this sounds interesting to you. If you have like younger people that you want to get into RPGs, like I think this is a good one because you can kind of ignore some of the more crunchier aspects, like all of the crafting and everything. Even that is not like super complicated. It's just like here's a roll that you make.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely check that out.
Ooznun is an adventure for Mothership First Ed. Steeped in sacrilege, seduction, and slimy body horror, players are sent to investigate a strange meteor crash on the small J-Fox colony. And I'm going to leave it at that because I want to play Ooznun now.
Can you even find a copy of Mothership? Or
yeah.
I've tried like a hard copy.
Yeah, their companies like they're selling those deluxe and all the time.
I haven't tried to look for them, so I don't know.
I've tried to Google it, and I can't ever find a copy anywhere.
Well, that's because Google is broken. So
yeah.
There's also the folder has a hard copy.
Yeah, that doesn't help me though.
He got that
kickstarted.
Greg got that kickstarted, and he used it.
That's right,
to run a short campaign.
Yeah. That's right.
The Mothership core set is available at Tuesday Night Games.
Okay.
So you can get you basically can get the core set for it, and they do a lot of zines, and you can also get the deluxe set right now for $99.
Oh, okay.
Nice. And both appear to be in stock.
What's the name of the company?
Tuesday KNIGHT Games.
Okay.
They're the ones.
A lot of these places have gotten to where you just have to get it straight from them.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't find it anywhere
Tuesday Night
else.
are the people who made Two Rooms and a Boom, which is one of my favorite social deduction games.
But I did see that the Cairn second edition Game Masters or whatever, the Warden's Guide, I think is what it's called. The Player's Guide was it's all made to print, but you can order it off Amazon made to print, or you can order it from them.
Gotcha.
So both of those are available. The second edition of the Player's Guide is like really, really good. So that's more of a like darker. It's like Shadow Darker or like a darker grimdark, a more grimdark fantasy setting.
Right.
So yeah.
Jay, do we have any feedback?
No feedback this week, but ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being passengers on the bus this week. If you would like to leave feedback on this or any of our previous episodes, you can do that at travelersontheomnibus@gmail.com. Again, that is travelers, 1L on the omnibus @gmail.com. Jody Kite, where else may they engage with us?
Spotify.
Yes, take part in any of our polls for this or any of our past episodes that are still running. And of course, leave a comment on this or any of our past episodes as you so decide to. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for being passengers on the bus this week. If you would like to share this experience with anybody else in your friend and or enemy circles that do not listen to podcasts on the same channels you listen to podcasts on, we're available on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube Music through our YouTube channel, Travelers on the Omnibus, and iHeartRadio.
With all of that taken care of, let's go to Arrakis.
Cut your speaking.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for returning to our main event this evening. The final installation of Jody's tyrannical reign. We have watched the 1984 film Dune, directed by...
And consequently, we're going to stage a revolt after this.
Yes. Yes. We will become the People's Republic of Jody.
I need the Harkonnens that are not main characters to look different. I need them to have reverse mohawks.
Yeah, and red hair.
And red hair. They gotta all have red hair.
Reverse mohawks.
Oh, we're definitely
I desperately need by the end of the movie Patrick Stewart to have a skullet. I desperately need him to have a skullet. Can we make that happen?
No, he cannot put down the pug. He has to carry it into battle with him.
That's that's Mr. Tinkle Fluffy Bottom. He's
we
very
need-
important to the plot.
We need a ridiculous amount of dogs in this movie,
The pug is very important.
There's so many bugs.
right before the spacing guilds arrive. I need a bunch of dogs just being walked across the floor.
If you ever want to take the pathos and the just the overall like sheer courage and emotion of a suicide final charge into the hands of an enemy, have a pug
Yeah.
held in your coat
Yes.
as you go off to certain death.
Jesus
So yeah, we're
Christ.
talking about that movie.
The beginning is a delicate time. I need this to lead off because it leads off the film, and it's
Go
one of the
for it.
funniest fucking things in the history of my. So I initially watched this movie. I was either 10 or 12. I know it was an early even age. It was
Yeah.
I can't remember. Came on.
I don't think we even told anybody. We're Dune 1984.
Yeah, Dune
by David
1984.
Lynch.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's literally what I opened up with.
that's how much he cares.
I've already
about you.
forgotten.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Jay, continue.
So
I didn't listen to the first part of this podcast, so I don't know.
You get the Universal logo, and you get a Starfield, and you get Crown, and then background noise as a very confused Virginia Madsen stares at you and goes, "The beginning is
Hold
a
on,
very
it doesn't fade into her like in
No.
a setting.
no.
Her head
She's
is
just
in space.
Yeah.
she's just in space. The
Yeah.
beginning is a delicate time. Know then that the year is 10191, and she's giving you the opening narration, which for the book, because Book Jay's here, the chapters lead off typically with something said by Princess Irulan, like talking about at the beginning of the book that everything that Paul succeeds. He is the Muad'Dib, he's the Kwisatz Haderach, all these things, but. It's not the knowing what happened or knowing the end. It's knowing how you got there. That's the power of the story.
Also, that works in a book.
Yes, it works exceedingly well in a book. It works in this movie the way
It is used in this movie.
It works in the way having only one arm helps in paper hanging. Like it's just the way it is. You know, it's just the way it is.
I want to make sure anytime we mention the spice, we have to call it the spice melange.
Yeah.
I also like I've never watched. This is the first time I've watched this movie because I just didn't feel like it. To be quite honest,
No, that's fair.
That's fair.
But
That's fair.
and I knew it
If
started
some-
with
if
a head
some-
in space and narration.
If someone's experience with Dune or non-experiences with Dune is like, I've heard about it, but I just because that was also the actions of David Lynch,
The director.
and Jodorowsky. It's like I
Right.
did not read Dune, but everyone else said it was fantastic. Yeah,
I
it's okay.
forgot that like while she's talking, she just stops and fades away, and you're like, okay, they're going.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing.
They're gonna fade. They're gonna fade
They
into.
fade her back.
It's
No.
gonna be like Star Wars, where they fade into some action or
Yeah.
something. No, she comes back and just keeps telling
No,
you shit.
not only that, but she says, "Oh yes, one more thing." Like,
in the movie, it's like that happens in like that is
That's-
in world.
that's
like, that is-
literally wasting time.
Yeah.
It literally wastes time to do that. Just leave her on the screen. Why
Yeah.
is she fading out?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Jesus Christ.
And so it's like, oh yeah, and by the way, the spice, one planet. It's known as Arrakis, but you probably know it better as
Is this where they also fade into like and show you like pictures of each of the planets?
The
or is
four
that like
planets.
Hang On.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also known as Dune.
Okay, yeah, they do that.
And then Dune, the word Dune attacks you.
Yeah.
And like it's like a really slow jump scare, but it's effective. Last quick, when she fades back in, 10-year-old me, 12-year-old me, 22, 45-year-old me, I'd laugh hysterically.
Yeah.
Someone made the decision.
There is
to do
no
that
other way
that
to react to that other than what the fuck and laughing
Just
hysterically.
laughing, just great. Okay, so we get through the opening credits, which felt very 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
And so, which
The most
this
amazing part of the
movie-
credits,
Yeah.
music by Toto.
Yeah.
Toto.
What? What? What the fuck? What the fuck is that?
It's before they bless the rains and
Yeah,
everything.
before
Yeah.
they bless the reins.
That is what's crazy is
Yeah.
it's before that.
Yeah, unironically love the music in this film.
The music is good, but it's just like, Toto, what the fuck?
Sometimes it's not used properly, and sometimes it's just...
there is no
no subtlety, except at the end, at the very end, and then they bring out the soft piano, and that's it. Like,
and then we have the most insane end credits.
Do you mean the police lineup where they all just
where they just stand up and
they just stare at you or off into space?
Yeah, that is some shit that they did in the 80s for made-for-TV movies, mainly miniseries that they would have.
So this movie is insane.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Okay, so after the Dune credits, then it goes report from the guild. 4 planets have brought to our attention.
Oh,
and then they go into another exposition.
Okay, they're doing more exposition. This movie, and this is the main takeaway from it. This movie is the epitome, and this is wild to say for a David Lynch movie. This is the epitome of tell, don't show. It just tells you everything. They handed out like cliff notes.
Oh yeah.
When this movie came out in theaters, like everybody is so afraid that people are too stupid to understand anything that is happening in this movie.
The people who desperately needed Cliff Notes were the people who had read the book several times because there's things in this movie that just aren't in there.
We could do an entire show.
They're just not fit. Ethan's having a seizure.
We could do an entire show of things that aren't in the book that are in this. Why do the mid-tats have giant eyebrows?
Yes. Yes.
Book Jay, why is that?
Cut your speaking. Cut your speaking.
Are you from the guild?
Cut your speaking.
So I want to just so they gloss over the 4 main houses of the Lanzarote.
Yeah,
that I missed.
No, the three main, the three main,
the
one that we care
Emperor.
about. No, they talk about. No, they talk about Arrakis the planet.
Yes.
Which doesn't have a house.
Right.
You have Caladan, which is the home of House Atreides.
Yeah.
Giddy Prime, the home of the Harkonnen.
Yes.
And Planet Kaitan, home of House Corino, which is the Emperor's house.
Yes, we are going to say Harkonnen because that's how it's pronounced in this movie.
I said Harkonnen during the Harkonnen shit.
That's
I
true.
didn't care.
That's true too.
Yeah.
We open with the Emperor and he's talking to the Bene Gesserit mother.
Or bald. Like you might have watched the original Dune. You went back and watched this and you're like, wait, none of the Bene Gesserit are bald in this. Are they bald? Book J, are they bald in the book?
Cut your speaking.
This is why the button's in place. So
we're gonna wear that fucking button.
Yeah. Before the fucking episode's over with. I want to because again, this is another 2+ hour movie.
Yeah.
But this scene is very important.
There's
in this
some
regard.
things that we're
going to touch on.
We need to go through every.
No,
single
we don't
thing.
have to go through every scene.
The insanity of this opening of this first 15 20 minutes of this fucking movie.
Yeah. So one thing that this movie does better than Denis Villeneuve's Dune is bring in the Spacing Guild as something that is important, that has power.
They are very distant in the other movies.
And the other movie, they're basically a footnote and then kind of
you have in both parts 1 and 2, they open the movie with dialogue, and that's the only thing you ever get from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're the ones that kind of they have the most to lose out of all of this, really and truly, with not as little to gain from any of it.
Yeah.
So the Spacing Guild comes in, and the first ambassador say, the truth sayer, she must be removed. And so it's like, okay, I'm just going to walk the other room.
Hold on. He doesn't say this. Somebody holds up a giant microphone.
No,
and
he
doesn't.
says it.
And he doesn't know because his words don't match with the words that are coming. That's off center.
No, that's why
they're off center.
No, he speaks Spacing Guild.
Do you know what?
I'm not kidding,
by the way. The
Spacing
Guild people, you know what they were wearing?
Yeah.
Actual real body bags.
Yes, they were wearing body bags.
They were
is that what those were?
They were body bags that they sewed to look like.
No, wait, you remember when you said Jenny Bezeret? This is my fucking revenge, goddammit. The circle is fucking complete.
Yeah, but you didn't make me watch this movie.
Jay, who did?
Him.
Okay, there you go.
Jay, are there Spacing Guild people in the book? They're like giant vagina baby monsters.
Cut your speaking.
Okay, there we go.
Just wanted to make sure about that.
Okay. No.
Floating.
He's speaking into the microphone,
Yes.
and the microphone is
This
translating
is not the
it.
giant vagina baby.
Yeah.
This is like
The ambassador
the person
for
who is
him.
pushing the tank that holds the giant vagina baby.
With the other 8 people.
Yeah.
I laugh like a motherfucker when they back the thing out.
Yeah.
And the people with vacuum
There
cleaners.
was somebody with a vacuum.
Yeah.
I need somebody with a vacuum cleaner.
vacuuming
I need somebody
up
with a
like-
vacuum
like
cleaner.
the ooze that is coming
Yeah.
out of the
Yeah.
thing.
Yes. Yeah, they're
This
assholes.
movie is insane.
They're assholes, but they're conscientious assholes.
This movie, it's in a tank that's covered up, and then they have to like open it up, and there's steam coming out of it.
During this whole interaction, man, the Emperor is just giving his plans on the silver plate. Also,
Oh, yeah, 'cause they have to tell
not yet,
you
not
everything.
yet, not yet. So again, rolling out, and then you have giant monster in a bottle, and you think, okay, this has been like. Okay, this is the first real thing where we're gonna get into something. No, third exposition scene in a row.
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
damn, it's like, as we see 2 great houses in conflict. You mean the I can't even remember the people from my favorite book series because of this goddamn movie.
The
Son of a
Atreides
bitch.
and the Harkonnens.
House Atreides.
This movie
yes.
is a fever
Yes,
dream.
I can't attack him directly because that would anger the Landsrod. So I'm going to have the Harkonnens do it. But I'm giving him 5 legions of my Sardaukar terror troops. He could be saying, I'm giving him 5 legions of Cheeto banana tinfoil, and it's because what are these words? You haven't established them. Whatever. It's like they're developing a new weapon based on sound. 10-year-old me is like, oh, this is kind of cool. 16-year-old me.
Jay.
I am reading a 400-page book for the first time in St. Martin's High School library. 10 pages, 20 pages a day during lunch, and I'm waiting. Where's the fucking sound guns? Where are they? I'm waiting for these sound guns.
They blowed up the last of the weirding
They're not in
modules.
the book. They're not in the fucking book. I was surprised.
Oh my god. I would just the process of writing this movie. I want to see what the fuck happened, because it is.
I'm going to go one further. I think this was secretly David Lynch's Return of the Jedi. It's like, I think he wanted to do Return of the Jedi, but he didn't. Even though he said he didn't. And then he just did Dune.
He probably wouldn't have liked Return of the Jedi either, because he also wouldn't have gotten final cut on that movie.
No,
Exactly.
yeah.
Final cut was why the movie failed.
Yeah.
But
So-
I would have liked.
Wait a minute. No.
No. David Lynch said that there's a 3-hour version of this movie
Can't.
that is better.
No, okay.
That is phenomenal.
Cool. Better doesn't mean not a failure.
I do want to watch that movie because it has to be even more insane than this, because
we'll never know, because
I've watched the movies that David Lynch got final cut on,
Yeah.
and Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Let it be said that I love David Lynch as an actor. I think as an actor, we'll get into that too.
Yeah.
But as a director, and man, whew.
It's at this point where the giant space monster tells the Emperor,
You have to kill Paul. You mean Duke Leto?
Leto?
No,
No,
Paul. Kill Paul.
we sense great things in him, or some shit, or whatever it is.
And meanwhile, the Bene Gesserits, who, in addition to the superpower of alopecia, they also have the ability to just hear everything going on, even when
they're
sent to the
completely
other room.
psychic. They're completely
Yeah.
psychic.
Yeah.
This is kind of a nitpick, but in the in the book.
There are no nits to pick. The nits are the size of a fucking house.
In the books, did like the spice allow the space and guild to fold space time, or was it
No.
just,
Okay.
or was it just
Not
navigating
okay.
because
Not
it was really
exactly.
difficult?
So it was never said in his lifetime, but it was in the notes. The reason why the navigators need spice is because they are flying so fast. You can't just see ahead of you. You legitimately have to see into the future to be able to guide
That's
the
what
ships.
I thought. That's what I thought.
However, why make it that complicated when you can just have weirdo fucking scenes and then have a poor painting matte finished onto Arrakis? It was very obvious that those were not models. Those were fucking just like, oh wait a minute, okay, that's Arrakis. Hold on, we need the highliner sticker. Okay, wait, and they put it on there. And
I think some of that has to do with the fact that like we're watching these movies in high definition that were never meant to.
They also spend all the money on the giant space vagina.
Yes. Well, I mean, if you're gonna spend money, it needs to be on the giant baby space vagina.
They spent the money on the repulsor lifts for Baron Harkonnen.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll get to
that.
that.
Was some wire
We'll
work.
get to
Jesus
them.
Christ!
I wanna-
this fucking movie.
Like, okay, I want to skip ahead. I want to skip to them being on Arrakis with one thing.
I want to stop real quick, man. Anybody who has, and I know that people are out there. I don't think they're the majority of people who ever complained about Timothy Chalamet being too old to play Paul. Cal fucking McLaughlin is too goddamn old to play any version of Paul.
Paul was supposed to be like 15, Ethan, not 30.
Yeah, not 30.
Now you might be saying, no, they aged him up. No, he acts like a goddamn 15-year-old in this. He acts less mature than fucking Luke Skywalker in
Shield training. We did Shield training this morning. I'm not in the mood. Sir Patrick Stewart, Royal Shakespeare.
This is my favorite. This is my favorite line.
Yeah, it's mood. Moods are for cattle and love play.
We could do a whole episode just breaking down what the fuck he meant by that.
That line is in the book. Line is in the book.
Also,
that does sound like somebody who takes a lot of hallucinogens. That does sound like something.
In that scene,
I want to stress again, he is described. Gurney Halleck is described as the ugliest motherfucker in the universe, and has been played by Sir Patrick Stewart and Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin did look. They grizzled like he was extra grizzled.
Well, and they also gave that weirdo fucking scar to him that just looked like it's just like, let's scrape off some skin from you, Pat. Like, we'd be good there.
I really want to make a game of it. Jay's the only person playing. Is this in the book? And we just pick random ass scenes in this movie.
All the Mentats have like 6-inch long eyebrows that come straight up.
Yes.
That could be because Freddie Jones showed it up with that, and Brad Dourif, not to be outdone, was like, I can grow those too.
Yeah,
and so,
you can't out crazy Brad Dourif.
Yeah,
that's
you
your
can't.
first mistake.
Did they also have red stained lips?
Yes, they do have red stain, but it's so not brought up.
It's very subtle in
it's like they
last
only
movies.
Subtlety.
Well, no.
Subtlety is
No,
a
no,
thing
no.
for
Well,
love
no, no.
playing cattle.
Yeah. That's mood, sir, not subtlety. Cattle and love play.
There's
yeah.
there's
Man, those the effects for the shield.
I need to talk about the better ones. So in Dunes Part 1 and 2, the Mentats had that like brown
Little-
stripe,
yeah.
and that was the stain on their lips. Okay, that's fine. This thing looks like, how far into the meth orgy are you? Like, God damn it.
Also, you could play a drinking game.
It is by will alone I set my mind in motion. It is by the juice of Seth with them my thoughts acquire speed. The lips acquire stains. The stains become a warning. It is by will alone I set my mind in motion.
Cool. So I would not suggest this because you would die of alcohol poisoning. But you could do a drinking game where you take a drink every time somebody starts an internal monologue that we hear.
You'd be fucking dead at like Act 2 at the start of Act 2.
By the time he meets up with the Fremen, you would be dead. Don't do that, please.
How many times have I told you not to sit with your back at any doors? I knew exactly who you were. It's
every
like,
time somebody
could have been
whispers,
imitated.
those sounds could be imitated. I would know it. It's like, yes, I think you would know it. It's like,
Before we jump to Arrakis, I want to jump to the scene where he's having his nightmare dream flashbacks of Chani before he gets to Arrakis, and he's sweating and he's having like inner monologues, and then his mom just shows up with the Bene Gesserit mother in his bedroom. We're gonna need you to come into this other room.
In this movie, it's Gaius Helen Mohiam instead of Helen Gaius Mohiam, and that is sacrilege.
this woman chews scenery.
Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Oh, she's one of the scariest bald women.
Get out of my head.
No, it's her and then Jada Pinkett Smith for scariest bald women. Like it's just the way it is.
Put your hand in the box.
What's in the box? Pain.
That box looked like a lunchbox. Like when I heard that little
I
opening,
think it was.
probably was.
It
I
probably
do
was.
like the visuals inside there where his hand is like fucking coming
so,
apart.
So we're mostly shitting on this movie, but I will give it two things. One, like the set design and really the design just in general is pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about the shield effects, but
I mean, it was 1984.
I mean, yes, I would argue they shouldn't have tried it then. But yeah, that's good, and I do appreciate how absolutely buttfuck weird this fucking movie is. I do appreciate that.
It is very strange.
That being said, Jesus Christ, man, I'm sorry. I think I.
Oh no, you're good.
That's quite all right.
Yeah, we could just go ahead and go to Arrakis.
No. Let's go to please. Let's go to Arrakis. We have like an hour and 50 minutes still left in the movie now.
What?
Do they make it to Arrakis before or after we meet the Harkonnens?
No,
you meet the Harkonnens.
Harkonnens first, then Arrakis.
Yeah, no, we.
Yeah, no, no. I want to briefly do this because this scene, it has.
What if
all
Baron
of the
Harkonnen
emotions.
was the Joker? What if he's just the Joker?
What if Baron Harkonnen was in a David Lynch film? That's the true question.
So you might have watched. You might have watched the first the newer movies and been like, oh man, Harkonnen, he's played very subtly, like he's a schemer. No, he's just a stark raving lunatic madman.
All of them are batshit fucking crazy.
Yeah, all
everyone.
the
These are
Harkonnens.
the
The guy who plays Beast Raban actually eats raw cow.
Yeah.
later in the movie.
I want that one for me because I'm reserving that one. No, I love that he has a space Capri Sun, which is like an actual living creature that he crushes down and then
drinks.
It's like
drinks.
a French press.
Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure this is if Sting ever had a coke addiction, it was because David Lynch told him, "Here, rub this on your eyes so you can have the crazy eye all the time." It's like because his eyes are open all the time. He has no lids. There's nothing.
Jay.
Yes.
Did the Baron in the books have like horrific boils all over his face that
No,
need
and
to be drained and people lick?
He also didn't have a doctor that like said, "I love your viruses. I want to make love to them." Like what? Where is this coming from?
So they're lancing pimples.
He was morbidly obese.
Yeah.
Everything about him, the way he is portrayed, is think of every evil thing you could throw on someone, including some things that were wholly unfair.
Right.
Throw them all on Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, and we're gonna have that's evil. He didn't have boils coming out of his fucking face. Like this makes no goddamn sense. My favorite part is when Brad Dourif is like chill.
Yeah.
You know the fucking movies. It's like the greatness of our plan. My plan. Like he just and then like Piter like looks at him and goes, the plan, and it's like you learn, okay, there's a bad plan up against, okay, of course, because they've invoked Khan Lee and Vendetta and all these other things. And he throws the fucking, the metal tube in the sewer. And we're supposed to care about that because there's a single shot of it.
Right.
And then he just decides
Well, we do see earlier, like the Duke put his Duke, like They start with like somewhere in this, they tell like a news report of the Baron has sworn to steal the ducal signet ring, like he is a fucking Batman villain. Like he has broadcasted his crime for the future, and Batman has to come and stop him.
You said the Joker, and I will say Danny DeVito's Penguin from Batman Returns.
Oh, that is a subtle performance compared to this shit.
No, obviously, but that to me in place, space, and time, that's where that. So then he decides, I'm going to use my repulsor units to go take a shower in raw sewage, and then I'm going to more than suggest that I'm sexually assaulting this young boy who I pulled his heart plug of and will die.
Jay, do all the Harkonnens have heart plugs in
No!
this?
I mean,
Cut your speaking.
okay, sorry. I thought
everyone has one.
These are the most disgusting human beings I've ever seen. Any form of media.
I will be honest. Like the Harkonnens are much more disgusting.
I'm gonna say this right now. There is no. Well, who are the real bad guys? No, you know. You fucking know.
No, there's no gray in this.
No.
Yeah.
The moment
in fact, that is something I will talk about later.
The moment I see someone's eyes and mouth like sewn shut with like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
straws
By the
sticking
way,
out of their
not in the
eyes.
book.
Okay, yeah.
Right,
Like
right.
somebody has their ears sewn shut. One person has their like eyes sewn shut with like little straws,
Like
in
sticking
them.
out like fucking like
It's so that they'll focus better.
Yeah,
They live in a boiler room. They're always sweating too.
yeah.
They
God.
live in a sewage waste treatment
I
plant.
will say it like, man, motherfuckers sweat in this movie, and they don't really sweat in the newer movies.
Yeah, that's fair. That's entirely
Raban
fair.
is absolutely disgusting in his close up.
Yeah.
I hate it.
In his close up, in his establishing shots, his far away, in his 1 for 2, there's nothing appealing about any of this.
He also is wearing like a baby onesie,
Yeah.
and then he puts on like a really like to make himself seem cool when he's out in public. He puts on like a duster.
yeah.
Jesus Christ!
Real
this
quick, because we
fucking-
were talking about this. So there's a character named Nefud. He isn't named in the movie, but I'm sure at some point he had a scene. And the reason why that is, Nefud is played by Jack Nance. I believe it's Jack Nance. Jack Nance is the lead in Eraserhead.
Oh,
And he's just in the movie. And again, with that scene I've reserved to talk about, I will talk more about that in a little bit. So we're on Arrakis. Finally, shit's not working out right. The shield's fucking
It
acting
takes
up.
like an hour to get to
We're
Arrakis.
in Arrakis 40 minutes into the movie.
40 minutes. Okay, it felt like an hour.
Shit's getting weird.
Trust me, I had to rewind the movie many times.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fair enough.
Yes. Linda Hunt plays Shoutout Mapes. Linda Hunt, if you don't know, most recently NCIS LA. However, she's also the narrator in the early God of War video games. And
She's the voice of Edna Mode in Incredibles, right?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
and her character's modeled after her too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've seen that character, then you've seen
that's
her.
introduced during the
Same height, too.
during the house team presentation, which doesn't include the whole you have a knife on you and all the cool shit.
It
that
was
Shout
cool
Out
when
Mapes
you would
was
see
seen.
like these parallels and be like, oh, they're just kind of doing this more boringly.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
for sure.
And then I want to talk very briefly about the Hunter Seeker scene. So the
Yes.
Hunter Seeker in the Denis Villeneuve classic, small. It's the room is dark. It's
The room is dark and there's like this hologram that's around and he's in the hologram,
Yeah.
so it makes sense why the fuck it can't see
can't
him.
see him. And so no, and that's actually a Denis Villeneuve creation because in the book it's so dark. So
It's
the
also like-
Hunter
But
Seeker.
at least in the book, like it's so dark.
Yeah.
It's not dark in this.
Shit! I was about to mention that. So the Hunter Seeker comes out of the wall, and it's clearly a vibrator. Like it just is. It's a vibrator that
It's the
someone put.
1980s. You got to work with what you got.
They put a syringe needle on the front of it. Hunter Seeker, I have to stay still in the darkness. This room is lit up brighter than this room is.
Yeah, I was
right
like,
now.
how the fuck does this thing not
It's
see
like,
him?
no, it does. There's a camera
Yeah, you
shot
see a
inside
camera
the
inside
Seeker.
it.
That is
And
a
it-
cool
and it-
shot. That's
That's
a cool
cool
shoot.
shot.
It's a cool shot, except it disproves that it can't see
Because
him.
it sees him directly.
And oh my god, it's so bad and weird and wrong, and I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely, because this is so stupid.
And then the character you just mentioned opens a door.
yeah, Shout Out Mapes opens the door, and because that's what happens in the book.
And-
And
yeah,
he grabs
yeah.
the thing and smashes against the wall, and like, you've saved my life, thank you. You have a traitor in your midst.
Yeah.
And then like next scene, traitor, and it's all over. Like
Yeah.
we spent so much time getting to Arrakis, they didn't even get to unpack. They're
Yeah.
all dead.
Yeah,
Everyone's
pretty much.
dead.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like this is a movie that condenses the entire book, into one movie, and this is like you either have to have like a 4 or 5 hour movie, or you have to break it into 2 fucking parts.
Well, it's odd too because they take longer times on certain things that they could have.
there are some scenes where I'm like, okay, this was in the other movie, but I feel like you don't need this.
right.
So Wellington Yui,
Mhm.
the Dr. Yui,
Dr.
Yui.
who is the traitor.
Mhm.
I feel it's established better in this movie because in the
Yeah.
in Villeneuve's, it's
He
oh
does.
yeah, no, it goes through. Like he has imperial conditioning, so
Mhm.
that's everyone is not suspecting him. How
Right.
could it possibly be
I was
him?
wondering if that. I was going to ask you if that.
That's
was
why
the
that
thing.
diamond's there, because he's gone through, like, he is to be totally loyal.
Right.
And it's one of the things about Peter de Vries. De Vries found a way to break imperial conditioning.
Yeah.
And they're using the threat of like, oh, we're going to, like, we have your wife. You need to. all of that makes a little more sense in Lynch's Dune because he sets it up a little bit more, and it works a lot better. It's also the reason why. Hey, wait a minute. So he's been around Jessica a whole bunch, or Jessica's always around. How did she just not know? And it's the preconception of, well, it can't be him because of that. Like even in that scene, it was like he's thinking something worries him, something's troubling him. Whatever. And then in the next film, and next moment, her and Paul are drugged. Yeah. And Leto gets attacked by him. It's like I've killed you. I've killed your entire house, but you can still get someone. You can get the Emperor and in this one,
Baron.
Like the Baron. Yeah.
The doctor thinks that his wife is dead.
Yeah. No, he thinks his wife's alive. Because that's part of
because
that's right. Join him
in the newer movies. He thinks she's alive.
Yeah, that's right.
Because in this one,
in the book, he thinks she's alive. Yeah.
Like he said, like the Baron says something, and then he's like, "Oh, she's alive," and then he kills him.
No, because do you want to join her?
Yeah, right.
Oh, she's alive.
Yeah, right.
Join her, and then Piter shoulder tackle. Like that was weird too, because it should have been like he got better at stabbing people in the back when he got to Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But
he had Christopher Lee to actually tell him here's
how you should stab.
Here's how you stab somebody.
Yeah, and then and he's like,
that's
and
a
then,
real thing.
And Brad Dourif has played both Piter DeVries and Wormtongue. Like that's a pretty impressive one as far as geek culture goes.
One thing I want to touch on too before we move any further. Duncan Idaho doesn't really have.
Duncan Idaho.
Duncan doesn't have much of a role in this version of the story.
He literally just sets up where I'm going to meet the Fremen. I've met the Fremen.
Yeah. And then he dies.
And then he dies to a screw launcher. The screw gets through the shield and it just obliterates him. And that's pretty fucking gory and graphic too.
For sure.
Well, there's like an inch thick of like mud in front of him, so it's kind of hard to exactly make out what the fuck happens.
Yeah.
I have another nitpick. When they're training with that sound weapon, the thing that they're training with doesn't seem very effective at training them. The little like column that comes from the ceiling that like just sticks weapons out.
Well, you see in the book, none of that's there.
Well, yeah, because there's no sound weapon in the book.
None of that is that. That's why, like the whole training, which in my head, I can run that scene next to Millennium Falcon, the training scene from A New Hope. And those can run side by side. I'm like, one of these things is not like the other. One of those is establishing like the Force and things like that. And the other one's just a cool reason to blow up metal spikes.
Yeah,
that's literally also true. Reason. We meet Dr. Kynes, right?
We meet right before the betrayal. We meet Leah Kynes,
so we
played
need to
by Max von Sydow.
Yeah, we do. We need to mention this because this is where we get a director cameo. David Lynch is one of the guys working.
Well, specifically the spy scouter that
you see.
Who's giving these orders? It's your Duke. Get off the ship. Oh, yes. Sorry, sir.
Sire.
It always throws me off when I see David Lynch not with gray hair because I've seen him for so fucking long with gray hair.
Yeah.
So it took me a second. I was like, oh shit, that is David Lynch. God damn. But yeah, Max von Sydow, like Jesus Christ.
The German quotient on this film is high because you got that. You got Jürgen Prochnow as Duke Leto.
Yeah, as Duke.
There's one more thing I want to quickly touch on because this is about the time where you could, because before the Atreides, like all that shit goes down. Costumes are pretty cool. A lot of the costumes are pretty cool. Not the Atreides army though. They look absolute thrift store shit.
Yeah.
Like they got the cheapest.
To contrast the Atreides elite. Jürgen Prochnow looks like a duke.
The elite for sure.
That deep navy blue to black.
They are always wearing those like military style dress things. Like Paul, she wakes Paul up in the middle of the night.
Before he has to
test. And he has to go to the test and he gets this like military dress on with like the tassels on the side. I was like, you didn't need to do all of that.
You also didn't do that in 15 minutes.
Quarter to the next hour.
Back to where we're actually at.
Yeah.
So shit's gone down. They've wiped them all out. The scene with the scene where it's like, so Duke Leto bites the tooth, but he thinks it's the Emperor. I'm going to keep saying the Emperor like
Baron.
Harkonnen's in front of him, and actually Piter dies.
Yeah, watching that scene after watching the scene in the newer Dune is so disappointing.
Oh yeah,
it is so fucking disappointing.
Just one person dies.
Yeah.
We skip because we there's another scene, then we skip back to Baron. It's like Baron, I'm alive, I'm alive,
and he literally flies in circles, going, "I'm alive, I'm alive." I was like, Jesus,
that's going to become a thing. Throughout the rest of the movie,
man.
Yeah. So
maniacal laughter and just flying.
They have Jessica and Paul on a really, man. The ornithopters in this are just shit.
Yeah, those dudes like
they barely have wing.
Yeah. Most things look really cool in this, though. The ornithopters look really bad.
Ornithopters look like somebody like. How could we make a trapezoid just a little bit more interesting?
Right,
just a little bit. But the escape is pretty much similar. He uses the voice, and then he gets her to be ungagged. Then she uses the voice on everybody.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallels that are similar. There's very few that are similar to the Danny Villeneuve Dune,
and the book Dune. Because what would happen here? They get away and they meet up with Kynes and with Idaho. And then eventually, it's very similar in the book, but it's not one for one what happens in Denis Villeneuve stuff. No, they just combine the two escapes into one, and that's how they end up in the desert.
Yeah, they immediately find the fucking Fremen.
No, first of all, we have to hear you walk without rhythm, so you won't attract the worm, and then they walk in rhythm the entire time.
Yeah, and then no one walks without rhythm. Get attacked by a worm.
But no, like the Fremen march in complete rhythm later on. True. It's like none of these motherfuckers walk without rhythm.
This is true. They literally they are in the desert 5 minutes and they meet the Fremen.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not even that.
It's like because we're an hour into the fucking movie, so we have to move forward in this 2 hour.
We have to get to them. We have to. We don't have enough time left. Like the worm is attacking them through the rocks and all this shit. It's like, oh wait, there's another thumper somewhere. And it was almost a horror movie.
Yeah.
Like they walk and they turn the corner and there's 800 Fremen. Maybe not that many. And Stilgar at the lead
also,
going.
the worms in the newer Dune look like vaginas. The worms in this one look like dicks.
Yeah. Very true.
Well, they spent all the vagina modeling budget on the Spacing Guild shit.
Yes.
So, yeah.
You have a similar parallel to this one versus the new one where, Lady Jessica put Stilgar in the hold.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh,
somehow this means that they're going to give them weapons. Where the fuck do they get these weapons from? Where the fuck do they get these goddamn weapons from?
They had the schematics.
They specifically, to be fair.
No, hold on. They specifically showed that all of these weapons were blown the fuck up. And then all of a sudden, he meets with them and says, "Hey, I'll give you all these weapons." And then 5 minutes later, they have all these goddamn weapons. Okay. How the fuck? They're a desert society that doesn't have all this giant technology. What the fuck? Okay. This is the thing that the fucking people also in outer space that have similar technology to the Atreides don't have these weapons because they're so fucking advanced. And yet the fucking people who only live in the desert can build these what the fuck?
This can be explained.
This includes my TED Talk.
It can be explained very, very
schematics.
Simply.
They had the schematics.
Cut your speaking.
They had the schematics.
Yeah.
Did you just do that to Jody?
I did it to Brady.
But Jody was talking. Never mind. Okay.
So you remember, if you've watched the old movie, the newer movies, or I would go out on a limb and say in the books as well, how he meets with them and they're hesitant to kind of deal with him, but he in a way proves his mettle, and then he slowly wins people over by going out on missions and putting himself in danger and showing that he cares about the people and everything and bonds with him.
No,
he just says
not exist.
He just says I'll give you weapons, and then they're like, sure, come on.
They immediately give him his new name and everything like that.
He's like, hey, can I be called Paul Muad'Dib? They're like, you're Paul Muad'Dib.
Yeah.
He does ask, what is the mouse shadow in the second moon? It's it's called Muad'Dib. It's can I be Paul Muad'Dib?
Yes, you are Paul Muad'Dib.
You are Paul Muad'Dib.
And then there's a montage of him training them in these weapons that they could not have gotten.
No, I need you to pause very quickly because it's time.
Okay.
The following 5 minutes are some of the most psychotic 5 minutes of a David. Not the most psychotic. Blue Velvet exists.
Yes.
Lost Highway exists.
Yes.
This is up there. You have Eraserhead playing discordant sound directed at someone off screen. Then you see the Baron floating around a gas chamber, screaming maniacally for no good reason. The Beast Raban walks in. People are torturing a dead cow with a cattle prod.
Upside down. He's hanging upside
down with
Wearing
its
a
eyes.
hood.
With its
Wearing a
eyes.
hood.
No, not even a hood. Wrapped around with bandages where there's no blood. I don't know why. He rips the tongue out of the cow and starts eating it. He walks into the room. Baron Harkonnen sees him and goes, "It's like Baron Arrakis. I want you to squeeze." And he starts touching his face, sticking his fingers in this man's mouth that has who's still eating cow tongue.
He's squeezing his cheeks.
For real. He is not like faking eating raw cow.
And the dude is the character is smiling at this while the actor is probably like, that grin was like, I'm very terrified right now. And then he walks away. Baron Harkonnen turns around. Sting comes out in a blue armored Speedo and he stretches and his left arm looks like it's completely fucking dislocated. And he's like, "I'm gonna give them you, Fade." And he gives his nephew the fuck me eyes.
Yeah.
And then his nephew may or may not be giving them back. We really don't know. It could be fear, it could be desire. No fucking clue. Meanwhile, Jessica is taking the water of life, and we see the ugliest fucking baby puppet in the history of God and mankind, who has become infused with all the memories of a Bene Gesserit motherhood. Oh my God, what the fuck? How could this get any fucking weirder? We're going down a set of stairs, and Fade is carrying a box. We really can't see what's in the box, but we know it has open sides to it.
Oh yeah,
They get down to the bottom of the stairs, and there's Thufir Hawat. Baron Harkonnen, "Oh, I see you have your heart plug in now, Thufir.
You're a Harkonnen."
He's strapped to like a raised gurney or something.
No,
like
it's
that.
like it's this weird, just like torture corner of Castle Harkonnen. And he's like, it's like everyone's got you've been given half of a poison. In order to keep alive, you have to milk this little cat. And then you see a skinny white cat strapped to a rat that is, for some reason, wrapped in fucking like restraints so that the cat doesn't kill him. You have to milk this cat every day.
It's in like a box that is just like it's just supports, and it's like hanging in there. And you have to, Jay, does Thufir Hawat have to milk a cat to save his life in the book?
Cut your speaking.
That's what I thought.
They give him a poison that at any time they could give him the second draught of it and it kills him. And that just seems simpler and easier to do. But somehow David Lynch was, "I got a cat. We could just do that." It's
Why don't we take this cat to this rat?
And the last dialogue of this is Sting. I'm not saying Fade. Sting going, "All I see is an Atreides I want to kill." The Baron. Now, Fade. Thufir's a Harkonnen now. Thufir, my Duke, I have failed you. It's like now, Han. Here's the reason that concludes the crazy 5 minutes. But I have a little bit to add. Kenner had licensed a line of toys for Dune. They were never released. One of them is Fade carrying the cat.
They thought they were going to get that. They were going to get Star Wars number 2.
Star Wars money.
Meanwhile,
with the bikini, Sting wanted to do the scene nude, and they were like, "No, we're gonna put you." We're gonna put you in a winged blue bikini.
I have to mention this parallel because this happened all the time in this movie. Retrospectively, of course, after watching Dune's Part 1 and 2 and getting a little bit more closer to the book or whatever, they hand wave through so much. Now during that,
there's a scene. I'm sorry, there's a scene coming up with like the Fremen and everything. They literally yada yada over the shit.
So in parts 1 and 2, especially 2, where Stilgar takes Jessica down to the water.
This part, yeah.
And he's like, you're Bene Gesserit, our Reverend Mother is dying. We need you to take over. And he goes through the whole thing that, well, if you're not, you're not the mother of Lizalgi,
But he also brings up this reservoir is this is a sacred
holy
reservoir.
Holy water.
Nobody would drink this.
Right.
Nobody would drink this.
Okay. So in 84, basically what happens is, and then Jessica becomes the Reverend Mother of the story.
But he's also like, this reservoir. We just have all these reservoirs. This is how we survive. We just happen to have all this water.
One day we'll use this water to make rain happen or something or whatever, or bring paradise to Arrakis.
So now Book J has to come in.
Yeah.
So there is a scene missing from this movie, and it's missing from the Denis Villeneuve movie. It's the environmentalism portion of the book that is a big part of Frank Herbert's writing and things like that. They are collecting these reservoirs of water because, yes, eventually, like, water will build. Like, basically, they're trying to terraform the planet, and they need that water in order to be able to terraform the planet. It's not just happening there. It's happening everywhere, Fremennar, including in the Deep South. They're literally collecting enough water to where they can change the entire ecological structure of the planet.
Right. And they basically hand wave over.
But in here, it's just water.
Yeah,
just water.
They hand wave over the importance of how the water is treated in the parts 1 and 2, and then they hand wave Jessica becoming Reverend Mother like it's an afterthought.
Yeah, he's just like, so you're going to become Reverend Mother? And she's like, sure.
They also say that Paul's sister is born. That does not happen.
Oh, yeah. They literally, there's a montage of like 2 years. Like 2 years of fighting happens, and, and it's all in montage. They literally just yada yada the stuff. Hey, don't worry about all this shit. It happened. We promise. Yes. Also, Chani and Paul fell in love.
Yeah.
They did.
Immediately.
Off screen.
Immediately.
Off screen.
I will also say that this now enters a group of very specific films, which are science fiction films in which I was about to call her Glenn Close, where Sean Young awkwardly kisses the protagonist.
This is true.
Like, this joins Blade Runner and Dune again as movies where it's just like I don't see the chemistry there. Like,
right.
They didn't give her a chance to have chemistry because she's not a character.
They didn't do it in
Blade Runner either. I would argue nobody's a character in this.
That is true.
But she definitely is not a character.
She has almost nothing going on with her.
Like, she has zero. Like, she is literally a prop.
Like, he's laying there, and then he's like having inner monologues with himself with her. He's like, I must drink the water of life.
Yeah.
How did he
figure this out? Oh, who
am
fucking
I
knows?
the legend they're speaking of?
And then they just go out to the desert and he drinks the water of life.
And the worms.
There's so much going. So he drinks the water of life. The worms are the spice. The spice are we couldn't figure that out.
Yeah.
Like that's one. Even in the book, it's like the worms go where the spice are. Maybe there's a correlation. But no one's until like later in the book they figure this shit out. The worms and like the worms come to basically like announce the coming of the Messiah. Effectively,
they bow before Paul,
and then everywhere in the universe, all Bene Gesserits start puking up red Kool-Aid. Just everywhere. They're just starting to do it, and they know that he's drunk the water of life now.
Yes.
There is a worm riding scene. It is not as cool as in the newer movie.
Yeah.
He just rides a giant dick, and somehow Stilgar while he's riding, Stilgar just jumps
up there.
I looked down, and then I looked up, and Stilgar's right beside him. I was like, "What the fuck? How the fuck did that happen?"
There's 20 dudes up there just chilling. Also during the
apparently drinking the water of life lets him control
during
the
worms. The montage. We get the. Real quick, go back to the montage. We get fucking Patrick Stewart. Paul, they said you were dead.
Paul, they said you were dead. Skullet blowing in the breeze.
Well, you have to. How else do you show that time has passed?
Yeah.
Other than give Patrick Stewart a skullet.
He does say something I never caught before. If it wasn't for the parts 1 and 2, I probably would have never caught it with you, young pup.
Yeah.
He says it in that movie in '84.
Yeah.
But you could barely hear it over all the fucking rock and roll going on.
Then we have Paul's weird ass sister who you when we were talking about this in between, you didn't know.
Drink the water of life.
This is Alicia Witt, who is the most recent thing you have seen her in is she is the mom in Longlegs.
Oh shit! Okay,
Yeah, she's been in a ton of. She was in Sopranos.
She was also in a bunch of stuff with David Lynch going forward. I think she was in some part of Twin Peaks.
Possibly.
Yeah.
That's something that I really need to take time and watch.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Father, the sleeper has awakened. It's like, oh my god, I hate and love it at the same time.
it's really
in part two, I think he's like, I'm not asleep. That's it. That's all you. That's all you get. You don't get the speech.
So they've stopped all spice mining on Arrakis. The Emperor's mad. The reason why he has to take the water of life is because they're bringing everybody.
Yeah,
and it's like we got to do something to counteract that. So I've got to drink the water of life because the Spacing Guild is like, he hasn't drank the water of life yet. if he does that, we're all fucked.
Yeah, everybody knows everything in this movie.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, it's because you had Virginia Madsen's giant head in space and tells
everybody. Yeah, everybody knows what the fuck's going on.
We also see the internal combustion of all the space babies whenever Paul drinks the water of life. Also during that weird space montage.
That is a fucking sentence and a half. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You know what? No notes. Moving on. And it's like,
just floating around.
Yeah. Well, no, because it's suggested there that he can control all of them, and therefore it's like, this is a bad thing.
Shooting spice lasers out of their vagina mouths.
So the Emperor arrives on Arrakis. First thing he does is chop Raban's head off, and then I will say this: to this day, Jose Ferrer, who played Shaddam Corno, he goes, "Bring in the floating fat man." I fucking love that line.
Yeah, it feels like and I know that they shoot these things out of order, but it feels like he got more used to the role because he was very stiff in that first scene.
How can you not be stiff when you're listing off shit?
That's true.
Literally,
it's
like
true.
You have to say this line, and there's no nuance or subtlety because you're working up against a giant vagina fetus from space.
But Paul wins, like they blow up the shield wall,
which allows the worms to come through.
I think in Dune the shield wall is literally just like the wall that they have built, but and it might be in the books as well.
The shield
wall is literally like
range.
A mountain, a mountain range.
Yeah, that cuts off the from the first part of the desert where worms are. From like Arakeen and Carthage and all these.
You remember in part two where Gertie's like, Your father's atomics. I know where they are.
Yeah.
In this movie, you just hear Paul go, fire the atomics as they put on radiation suits.
Yeah.
That is so fucking weird.
They explain it in the newer movies. In this movie, they just have atomic. If you didn't know anything about this, they have atomic weapons. Why the fuck didn't the Freeman like use these earlier?
I want to go even further. Like all they really needed was goggles because they put the suits on, the atomic bombs blow up, and there's a hole blown in the shield wall. They go right through where the bombs exploded, where all the radiation would be.
Yeah.
Where's your fucking suits, man?
Yeah.
It was 5 legions of Sardaukar to attack them when they had all the secrecy and all that. They brought 50 legions, and all 50 legions are destroyed. They wipe them all out, all of them.
Like instantly.
And they are worse than Stormtrooper bad. Everything they shoot at the worms and no one on the Fremen side dies. They wipe out everybody.
Yeah.
You thought it was bad in Villeneuve? No. This wasn't the Battle of Helm's Deep. This was the inconvenient 2 seconds of Helm's Deep.
It was stomping a baby, really.
Yeah, it was great.
There's also during Paul and all of them riding the sandworms attacking the Emperor. There's also Paul's sister with the Baron in the Emperor's throne room.
Well, also, right before that happens, the Emperor and all of his friends get on these little motorcycle devices
they
with
get
TVs attached to them.
They get on early stage pelotons that have guns on them, and they try to shoot them. None of it's fucking working.
And it's like,
wait a minute,
Baron, deal with the girl.
Yeah. And like he could never because she has the power of the voice, so she keeps him in pocket. I need to say something about real quick because we were talking about small children. So I will when he comes before the Fremen, he goes, "I'm going to train 100 of your finest warriors," and then they have the scene with the weirding modules, and it's like 98 adults and 2 boys. How hardcore are those boys that they are fucking able to whoop shit with 98 of the 100 other fucking hardest fucking Fremen? What the fuck?
One thing we need to mention too, since we're getting to
somehow his name is the killing word.
During the training sequence, we glossed over this, but
this was right before the sand crawling.
When he's training him with the weirding modules, as they call them. So somebody
for
says,
people who have, I need to explain these real quick. So it's like you have like a handheld like radar gun looking thing because it's not really like a gun. It's not like long like a gun or anything. And then you have like a
little microphone,
like a pipe with like a metal square thing on it around it.
It's like if a harmonica also had a microphone attached to it.
Kind of.
It's like a voice amplifier.
I can't begin to explain to you how fucking disassociated I'm getting because these words I've seen it. It's been a part of my life for 40 years and it still breaks my fucking mind. I'm bringing it up
because it's going to matter at the end of the movie. One of the people being trained says his name and then his device starts going crazy.
His device goes, more deep, and then like they blow up the whole fucking roof.
And then he goes, my name is a killing word.
My name is I'm ready to lead them, but I
must
conquer the worm.
Yeah.
I must conquer Shai Hulud.
Oh, Jesus Christ. This movie, Jesus, God damn.
Frank Herbert loved this.
Of course he did.
He said it
I'm
out.
certain he was tripping like a motherfucker when he said it.
Yeah. Back to the ending.
Yeah.
Baron, come closer. And then
she keeps telling him to wait. Wait for my brother, Baron.
We're not waiting anymore. She scratches him in the face with the Gom Jabbar. She pulls out his hoses and he just starts flying over there. And they say, "Hey, target that wall over there." And they blow open the wall and he repulsors
flies out.
He flies out and is eaten by a worm.
He flies into a worm. I will say, better death than the new one.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you get that's a bold statement.
The newer one, it was a cooler death.
Right.
This was a better death.
More entertaining death.
The fact that we only saw like 3 people in the entire movie.
He exploded in the worm's mouth.
And the entire 2 movies get eaten by worms is a tragedy.
Yeah.
Kevin McMillan in his best performance, just like fucking in an oscillation, just fucking spinning.
Somebody else could have. That's all I'm saying. Somebody else could have got eaten by a worm.
Yeah.
So Paul wins, and he still has to fight Fade Routha, and there's like 5 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah,
I looked at this and I was like, Jesus Christ,
we're running out of time.
It was like 2:10.
Yeah,
it was like 2:10 left in a 2-hour 17-minute movie.
So. They get into the assembly hall. You may have heard us say this before. They get into the assembly hall, and everybody's collected. He goes, it's like, and like they're looking over all of the captain, and they're like, Fade Routha. It's like, Emperor. There are many. there are several guild highliners in orbit over Arrakis, containing many great houses of the Landsrod. Send them back. It's like, how dare you speak it?
Cut your speaking.
And it's like, some of the power that I have, because the reason why this works in the book is they know how to destroy the spice fields. You inundate them with water, it immediately destroys the spice, which means they have enough water across the earth, across Arrakis, to destroy all the spice fields and end spice production forever, and then everybody's fucked.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, we're not gonna hold there. And then it's like there's a Harkonnen amongst you. It's like have him come for you. It's like, if he wants to, he can face you with my blade in his hand. Jose Ferrer, I'll give him this. When he's allowed to be, he's a dignified emperor, man. It's like, it's great. They go into their fight, and the fight is closer to what happens in the book. It just is. It's like
there's also no music with this one as well.
Yes,
yeah,
it's an interesting parallel.
He gains the advantage. Fade gains the advantage, and he has his blade come out of his side, and like whichever way, if I turn into it, I get stabbed here. If I let him force down, he stabs me there. I have to bend like a reed in the wind. And he does, and he stabs him. And truthfully, like that is a gory fucking kill.
Oh,
He
yeah.
Sticks in.
He goes through the jaw up and into the palate and beyond into his brain, and he kills him.
Hold on. The blade that pops out of his side is in the book.
Yes.
Jesus, that's the thing that they keep. I was like, this is the stupidest thing. There's no way this is in the fucking
They
book.
kept the weirding modules. Wait a minute. No, that wasn't in there either. It's like hold on, no.
Okay,
you need to let me have this.
Ahead.
And then he stands above his dead body and then screams with the weirding power, splitting both the earth and Sting. Sting is split in half and his eyes go
they
white.
tell him they go, oh, he doesn't need it anymore.
No. That's afterward. That's after because he goes whatever he says, and like everything splits, and he goes and Stilgar goes Usul, and then the other guy goes Usul no longer. No, it goes Muad'Dib, and he goes Usul no longer needs the weirding module. Like
Shut the fuck up.
He just watched the man split the fucking earth. Just shouting, and he's like, "Wow, that's cool." No,
and then they go out on a balcony, and somebody puts a robe around Paul.
No, they just come out, and he hasn't moved. They just fucking put the robe on him, and then he goes, no, he doesn't even make. No, he like makes a proclamation. It's like Arrakis was.
But they move outside because it starts.
No.
This is still in the hall.
He is still in the hallway. They cut to the outside. But he's never like
Why
in front
are they
of them.
looking up like it's raining?
Because it's raining. That's why. So he goes,
I'm gonna have an aneurysm.
Motherfucker, no, you stay healthy. And so he goes, Arrakis was made to train the faithful. And then he holds out his arms like Jesus.
Man,
and
they added a lot of God stuff in this.
And
this
rain falls
movie.
from the sky. So I want the juxtaposition. The Dune book and Denis Villeneuve, Messiah. No, people we need not to put our faith in messianic figures, because even when they are well intentioned, it can lead to just terrible things happening down the line. I'm losing my shit now. I'm having the aneurysm's catching.
Yeah.
David Lynch's Dune, the Messiah. Let's embrace the idea of the Messiah.
So this is my major, like I said, there are some things about this movie that I appreciate. This is my major problem with the movie. It flattens everybody. It flattens everybody. There is no depth to anybody. It flattens them into a hero's journey, and that is it. And it takes away all of the, well, hey, he's like a Messiah figure, but maybe being the Messiah isn't a good thing. Takes all of that away, and it's just like, nope, he's the best boy. He's the chosen one, and he deserved it, and it's all good. And that is like, I think the major sin of this movie is that it like I said, it just flattens everybody to fit into this hero's journey, which can be a good structure, but it's better when you like do something with it, but like everybody is just, it's like when they wrote the script, it's just, they had the hero with 1,000 faces in their hands, and they just went through each of the tropes and was like, that's going to be this guy, that's going to be this guy, that's going to be this guy. And that's it. Like that's the most disappointing thing about this movie to me.
That's specifically like that is the hardcore. The thing is, there are other books, and I have the same way, because I did finish Wizard of Earthsea. Ursula Le Guin is also not Ursula Le Guin. My apologies. Ursula Le Guin was also in the. It's like, it's not like we can tell a story of a hero, but that his flaws also created the problem, and the resolution is him fixing that and learning not to be like that. The hero's journey thing works like in Star Wars, it works in fairy tales, and like that. But particularly, you picked something that absolutely is the antithesis of that.
Yeah.
And you made it a hero's journey.
It is literally written as a critique almost of that. I wouldn't necessarily, critique might be a strong word, but it's written as a response to the hero's journey.
I think with subsequent readings, it has become that. I think it was just his warning. It's like, we can't put our faith in just one person to solve all our problems, because that's only going to create more problems than what it is.
Yeah.
He had more faith in community. That's why the Fremen work, because the Fremen are a community, and like it's a community in a harsh place that comes together and works together. That's why they have this kind of like respected status in his books. So, I ironically love this movie, and I unironically love this movie as a weirdo space adventure by David Lynch. I think it's a fine movie. It's not good, but there are moments where it's like I may not supposed to be laughing, but I'm laughing. This entertains me, but it's an entertaining movie. But it's not a good movie. The message is beyond muddled.
It's
the pacing of the movie is so fast it's slow. Like it's the best way. It's like because it feels like you're going 100 miles a minute, and really we never get anywhere.
Yeah.
When you think about the breadth
going
of the
nowhere
story.
fast kind of thing.
Yeah, this is David Lynch's worst movie, and that is spoken by David Lynch.
Yes.
This is the only movie that he never had final cut on.
He almost Alan Smithy did.
Yeah.
Like he did. Which
I don't think they allowed him to Alan
Yeah.
Smithy. It is what he is what happened. But yeah, like he technically didn't get final cut on the Elephant Man, but whatever famous director was producing that allowed him. I think it was Steven Spielberg was producing.
I believe so.
because the Razorhead's what 77.
I can't remember exactly, but
I think it's 78.
but every other movie he got final cut
If
on.
it's that era, it's either honestly I would put it between two people. It would either been George Lucas or it would have been American Zoetrope, fucking Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah,
That would be
it's
my
one of those three. It's one of those three.
Eraserhead is 77.
Okay.
But yeah, this is not a good movie. I find it an interesting curio, and again, it is so fucking bugfuck weird. Because David Lynch has to make an effort to not be weird. See the straight story.
It's an interesting parallel compared to the newer movies.
Yeah, it is, but it is like once you get past all the weirdness and it does start wearing off, especially when they like do all the fucking Fremen montages. Cause you never know anything about the fucking Fremen in this, which is tragic. Like you don't understand anything about their society.
Yeah.
They're just these
Except
people.
they really love hoarding water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're
Millions
fighters.
of
They're people-
decaleaders.
and they're fighters.
Shit, you barely even see that. Because they're using
the
using his
wielding
shit. They're using
true.
the modules. Like
Yeah,
that's
true.
That's all you see that makes them good fighters.
And
Is
those weird laser Gatling guns.
oh yeah, that too.
They did have
Yeah.
some cool guns in this. The Harkonnens have these like really weird like jet black Gatling guns that they carry around everywhere that were cool.
They had Gatling wielding guns too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, as well.
I'm not going to start again.
So, Jay, I want to ask you, because one of the last lines, or the last line in the movie, when he says, like, you know, God made a racket for the faithful, and one cannot go against the word of God. Is that in the book?
Oh God, no!
I didn't think
Yeah,
so.
Are you kidding me?
They like
The motherfucker has rain powers.
That's why
That's nowhere in the fucking book.
they add God a lot in this. Like this is
They didn't want to use the word jihad even back then.
No, they use it briefly. When they're coming to the planet and the Sayadine is saying the voice from the outer world, the jihad, like the jihad gets mentioned.
They do mention
once.
the jihad. Yeah.
Okay, how does the book end?
Better. I'm leaving it at that. Fucking read it. Okay, no. Like, let me. If you were looking to David Lynch's Dune as a bona fide experience of the books, no, it is not. And I will also say this: if you're looking to Denis Villeneuve's Dune as a bona fide experience of the books, closer, but still also no. When you weigh, in my opinion, when you weigh out it's way more faithful than David Lynch's. But there's still things in distances that they travel that the book doesn't go in. If you want to read the book, I again, my favorite novel of all time. Read the book, read the story for yourself. I think there is something in there for everybody if you're willing to go down that road. Now, that being said, if you don't want to go down that road, version I've got goes almost 400 pages. That is a time sink. If you don't want to do that, fine. I feel there are other books in the science fiction genre that talk about moral and ethical things a lot better. I think of the original Ender's Game. I think does a Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein, which are much smaller, much more condensed and more focused. This man was building a universe, and to a great deal of detail, he succeeded. Frank Herbert succeeded in that. But if you want stories that also kind of touch the the Stars My Destination, I can't remember who wrote that. I think that's not even a novel. That's a much smaller one. It's almost a novella, but I recommend that as well. Science fiction at its best focuses on the human now and makes a statement on it that is in metaphor so that it can be said to somebody who might not see it so bluntly. That's when I think sci-fi is at its best. Dune does that. This doesn't do that.
Yeah.
This basically says, Messiah. This was produced by Dino De Laurentiis. I always think Dino De Laurentiis always wanted to do the Ten Commandments, do another Ten Commandments, because the epicness of this, the sweeping music feels very Old Testament to me. Like it's just like this. What the fuck is this?
This is also at a time where they wanted Star Wars.
Yeah, they wanted Star Wars, but
also reports are that Dino De Laurentiis was like on set all the time. So Lynch didn't really get like full say the entire time. So not only did he not get final cut, but he also like didn't get to direct this exactly how he wanted.
Yeah.
So that is also to be said as well.
And it's one of the reasons why like I don't fault him for that, because he had so much interference like almost on a daily fucking basis.
Yeah.
When I also like you can graft. And sometimes I think it's not just grafting. I think there is a metaphor for the Jewish people of the Old Testament in the Fremen, because they were they're out in the desert looking for paradise and things. There's connections there with our world religions and things like that. I think the coming of a Messiah figure, that's Judaism, that's Christianity, that's Muslim. That's all three, looking for a military leader or to rise up and gather the people. That I feel happens. I think that's one of the reasons why it also, like a lot of this stuff subconsciously, some people for that can click almost immediately. But again, this is a fun. This movie is fun because it's weird, not because it's good.
Right.
I honestly think like the first hour of this movie is, before they get to Arrakis, is more interesting and fun and crazy than the last part.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
The cow tongue eating comes at an hour and 30 minutes in, so that is my answer to that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I have a question, Jay. When you were mentioned before about how parts 1 and 2 come kind of close to the book. Are you referring to like just translations from book to movies? Because this is kind of what they had to do with Lord of the Rings, because there's so much. Would you say that's more of like they nail the tone, the atmosphere, the drive for the characters?
So the environmentalism message of Dune is completely gone in Denis Villeneuve's stuff,
right?
Almost to a fault. It's one of those things I wish would be brought up, because that to me, as far as philosophically and also with the world we live in now, I think that's something that it would have been nice for him to explore that.
Right.
It doesn't really get explored. It's one of the hallmark. It's one of the reasons why he is able to pull in the Fremen. It's not just because, I'm going to lead you to paradise. No, the plan that Liet Kynes set forth to bring about a water green Arrakis, I'm going to continue to move forward. That's one of the reasons why the dinner scene with him and Kynes, and why that's not in there, and why that to me is like, that's the one thing I miss. That's the one thing I wish was in there.
Gotcha.
The environmentalism thing is almost completely excised out. I think there's hand waves and maybe of some like little tip of the cap.
I feel like what happened with that one is he wanted to focus more on the
human, the actual human,
the human thing, and which is the story of like, hey, maybe a Messiah is a bad thing. Like,
no, 100%. And to me, I think he knocks it out of the park. But it's not exactly what happens in the book. And you will have people that, if it's not exactly what's in the book, then I hate it.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. But No, open your it's still good as movie. Again, it goes in different directions. Jamis does not show up in the book after he's dead. Like the effect of that for him, and also like he kills a man for the first time and he cries. And this is a scene that Lynch filmed but never ended up in the book. Like he kills Jamis and then he's crying and they're all like they come up to him and like they're touching the tears. It's like he offers water to the dead. Like again, that scene where he spits on the ground. It's like we only have so much water. We have to wear these still suits all the time, almost to keep us hydrated because there's no water on this fucking planet. And the water that we've got to store so that we can go one day have this dream of this paradise that we're being told can happen. And he's crying, and so it's like he's giving up of himself. Like it's that notion, it's that power in that moment that helps bring them closer together. That part wasn't. I wonder if it was, and it was another thing that got cut from the thing because it's like we don't have the time at the very end of this movie to be able to process why he's doing this, and I can appreciate that because we need to move on. We need to move on to the end. The road he traveled is different. It doesn't hit all of the spots. But the overall path is the theme of Dune from the human side of things.
That's one of the things that whenever Paul and Lady Jessica, they made up with the Fremen and they say, we're going to bring you with us. There's a shot of them leaving that little rock formation and they're carrying like a body bag.
Yeah, that's
with
John.
them.
Yeah, because they need to take his water and add it to the stuff.
I feel like they kind of answer that in the second movie because they're so like anti, like Stilgar is constantly telling Jessica like don't give your water, like when she when he tells her about the reservoir she cries, he's like no, don't even do that.
When she's about to throw up,
he tells her throw up and he's like don't do it, don't let it out. I feel like that's because somebody thought of that scene and because they didn't get, so they explained that. I could be wrong, but that's just me like thinking about it. But I understand, like I have the same thing when there are TV shows or movies based on books that I've read. There are always things that I was like, oh, I'm a little bit. Nowadays, I used to get mad, but nowadays I'm just like, oh, I kind of wish that was in there. But I'm gonna focus more on like, hey, these are the good things.
I constantly
that they did.
use the term scratching against memory. Like it's that thing that's always gonna like, well, it wasn't really like this, but and can you get over that? And I think it's Villeneuve's directing. I think it's his and I think the last name was Spaeth. Their writing of the story that I think, and again the performances from very good young actors, I think carries that on here. This was David Lynch trying to make a weird movie, and he made a weird movie, but he also was prevented from making the movie he wanted. Yeah, he's like he said the final cut was 3:30. He told him we need this thing under 2 hours. Good fucking luck.
Yeah.
Like good fucking luck.
Yeah, that's insane.
John Spates. One of the screenwriters.
Yeah, it was one. Him and Villeneuve did the screenplay for it.
Yeah,
and Eric Roth.
There you go.
And I'll be like, sometimes studio interference saves a movie, but oftentimes studio interference like fucks with a movie. See Alien 3. But yeah.
Well, that was a complete clusterfuck from the beginning because the original trailer for Alien 3 showed the egg over Earth. Yeah. And Earth is not a part of any part of Alien 3. They didn't know what the story was when they were already putting out promotional material.
They're only just now going to Earth, and that was how long ago? But now we're talking about other things.
I thought this movie was an experience.
It is definitely
that. Yeah.
That. It is not one that I ever, but to be honest, like I love David Lynch. I appreciate David Lynch a lot. David Lynch is probably the least rewatchable director ever. Like I've watched David Lynch movies and I'm like, oh, that was never watching that again.
I went into this thing with the knowledge of, okay, so there are things in this movie that probably weren't introduced that were in the book, but weren't introduced in the new movies. And I have been sorely mistaken.
Yeah. I think just about everything that is in this movie was like, there's so much shit in this movie.
I give credit to my reaction when I heard that the space babies did not exist.
Almost everything in this movie and correct me if I'm wrong,
So
everything in this movie that isn't in the newer movies was just added because fuck it, why not? Like,
So this one thing about, especially when you like, if you it puts so much spice in you, you start to mutate.
yeah.
They're like the navigators for the guild are like mutated,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not mutated to the point where they're that. They're
Where
mutated.
they're in like an embryo
They're being
jar
transported
thing.
by vehicle-sized aquariums.
a level 3 guild navigator.
Sure, whatever the fuck
I'm
that means.
assuming.
I will
I'm
say
assuming
this.
you're saying the truth.
I will say the fold space scene. That's when in 40K when they actually go through the warp.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how they do
Yeah.
the right.
I
way
like
of
the
warp.
scene where Paul's never had spice before and takes out a giant ass fucking stick of it and shoves it in his mouth.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
tripping
man.
balls, man. You know, the first 30 minutes of this movie, we talked about it briefly. There is all the inner dialogue.
Mhm.
Oh my God.
They keep that shit up. They don't slow down until
They
the very
continue
end of the
it.
fucking movie. And it's because, like, for some reason, this movie is so fucking scared that nobody is going to understand this. And
They had pamphlets.
yeah, like
to
I said,
hand
yeah,
to people to watch the movie to understand shit.
yeah,
That should first of all immediately stress to everyone that like maybe we shouldn't have filmed this.
yeah. And I think it also is like the 80s were really scared that people were really stupid.
Jay, I thought you were legitimately joking about that earlier.
Oh, no, that's true.
100%
That's true.
true.
That's true. We have spoken no lies today.
Yeah. The TV cut for this, like, which puts it back over 3 hours, most of it is just somebody like literally just like a PBS show explaining to you what the known galaxy's like.
Yeah, there's the clip I shared it in the group chat where it's like that's the beginning of the TV cut where they have all the exposition of the houses of the
Yeah.
Lazarod, and it's just like talking about how the Mentat started and all this fucking bullshit that you don't need to know.
And the newer movies, like the actual like where somebody's like looking at something explaining the world is like 2 scenes, maybe like 3-4 minutes a piece, where Paul is like studying something like that, and that's it.
And we were talking about like Chani had like almost nothing. The Empress had nothing either. She
Yeah.
was just standing there. There was
Oh yeah,
none of
Virginia Madsen
yeah.
has more dialogue in that opening that they went back and filmed. They brought her back in to film that. She has more dialogue in that than she has in the entirety of the movie. No, they would not do that to Florence Pugh. Let me just say that right now.
Right.
Florence Pugh would give them a suplex.
Well, we should probably start wrapping this
Yeah.
up.
Yes.
yeah.
This movie was an experience. And I think that is as much as I can say about this
Yeah.
film, despite all of the negative and positive things that have been said about it tonight.
So now you know why we're overthrowing Jody.
The revolution starts as soon as this bus is parked.
It was a movie.
It is definitely. It is. You could say it's a movie. It is definitely a movie.
Yeah, I can't say that for
It is-
episode 9, but
it is a
this
film.
was a movie.
This
Yeah.
was a movie.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us during this roller coaster of emotions. As always, we would like to thank Mechnub Gaming, located in Goshen, Mississippi, for allowing us to film in their studio space. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any type of RPG needs, collectible card game needs, or just gaming accessory needs, check them out. I'm pretty sure they will still have Final Fantasy products for Magic the Gathering, Pokemon products, the new set, don't know what it's called. And if you happen to stop by, you might see us playing Land of Eem. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Check them out.
Do I need $20 sleeves? Maybe. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was thinking to myself.
You
and
thought
I
you were,
said that out.
you thought you were monologuing.
I was monologuing.
Gotcha.
I
That
said
would have been really funny in the movie if somebody had an internal dialogue and they were just talking and everybody just kind of looks at
Did
them.
I say that out loud?
Did I say that out loud?
The only inner monologue they could have added to this was anybody just going at one point, "What the fuck is this shit?"
Once again, my name is Ethan Skinner.
I'm James McCarthy.
I'm Brady Davis.
Jody Kite.
Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye.
totally drained mentally.
Totally or totally?
Totally. How did you like that scene where like they're riding on the worm and like the fucking guitars just come in and it's just rock and roll?
I saw something where something that they used when they were riding on the worms, like the hooks or something, were made of condoms.
That makes sense.
Cut your speaking.